Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everybody and thank you for coming out. This time I ask you to stand and salute and pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is convened in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey. Let the official minutes reflect that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by publishing a notice in the Asbury Park Press on Thursday, January 4th, 2024. The Press of Atlantic City and the Star Ledger, and also forwarded to the Toms River Times, Toms River Patch, and WOBM News on Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, and thereafter posting same on the Town Hall Bulletin Board for such notices, and filing the same with the Township Clerk pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Township Council on Tuesday, January 1st, 2024. The meeting dates have also been posted on the Township webpage.
Councilman Sikosi.
Here.
Councilman Lamb.
Here.
Councilman Loebman. Here. Councilman Nivison.
Here.
Councilman Quinlisk.
Here.
Council Vice President O'Toole.
Here.
Council President Coleman.
Here. As President of the Council, I've been given the responsibility of conducting a professional, organized meeting without interruptions. In that regard, the following procedures will be used. A total of 90 minutes will be allotted for public comment session. When 80 minutes have passed, the Council Clerk will raise his hand with 5 fingers indicating there's 5 minutes left. When the 5 minutes have passed, he will give the cut sign to me, at which time I'll ask for a vote to close the public portion of the meeting. The 90 minutes will include any mass outbursts. Any individuals who do not show respect for the individual who has the floor by interrupting will be given a warning and will be removed from the room if the interruptions continue. This goes for council members as well as the public.
Item 5 is the minutes from the special meeting on February 14th, 2024.
Move the minutes. Second.
A motion is made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Nivison. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
No.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
No.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman.
Yes. At this time, we'd like to honor 2 Eagle Scouts, and if they and their families would come forward to the microphone near that table, I'd appreciate that.
Can we take a motion to move the
I'm sorry.
honoring resolutions and
I'll make that
presentations?
motion.
I apologize.
Move the resolutions presentations.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I was eager to get the 2 young men up here and give them their recognition. So coming to the front would be Eagle Scout Brennan Adams and Eagle Scout Michael Piscopo from Troop 520. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure having you here. I have friends who have been Eagle Scouts. I know what you've been through. And I won't use the word, but you've been through a lot, I'm sure. So we want to congratulate you. Thank you for your endurance. Thank you for your patience. And thank you definitely for your projects. And at this time, I'd like to, first of all, I got to find out who's who. You are? You're Brennan and you're Mike. Would you just kind of review the project that you worked on for us?
For my project, I went to a butterfly garden. I forget the name, but it was, it's for parents to have a brick placed for their kids if they've lost him before them, no matter the age. Huh? Oh, Compassionate Friends, thank you, Mom. Which does hold a special place in my own heart because my own uncle has a brick there. But I met with the owner, Mr. Bruce Jones, and talked about a possible project, and he requested bat houses to be made. And we made 2 bat houses on the smaller side, which can fit about 100 each. As well as we did a little cleanup and straightened up all their fences and their gazebo there. Yeah.
I'm surprised you can stand up with all those badges up. Good job.
Thank you. Hi, so for my project, I took a golf cart and kind of turned it into a ambulance that they use for like different events. Like they use it during the Ocean County Fair, they use it during the parades, and other stuff like that.
Show everybody.
We're very proud to have you gentlemen as members of our community. And by the way, if you're free on weekends, I got some work at my house. You can come over and help me. No. But anyway, we're very, very proud of you. Like I say, I know what you went through to get your awards. And so congratulations and keep up the good work. All right? Congratulations. Congratulations. Families, come on up for a minute for a picture, please. Congratulations again, guys. Good job.
Item 7 is an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. NJSA 40A:4-45.14. This is a first reading.
Can I have a motion made to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Loebman,
I believe I got a motion to approve by Councilman Lamb, and it was seconded by Councilman Nivison. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
I vote yes, but there were certain people that always voted no on this, and I didn't understand why over the years, but I vote yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Quinliss?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole? Council President Coleman?
Yes.
Item 8 is a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, authorizing a non-fair and open professional service contract with Bowman and Company LLP for financial and budgeting consultant services in a total contract amount not to exceed $25,000.
Move the resolution.
Second.
A motion was made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Loebman. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Sokozy?
Yes, and it's another Democratic agency.
Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Councilman Quinless?
Most of the work for this is usually done by our own CFO, so this price seems like it's way out of line, so I'm gonna have to vote no.
Council Vice President O'Toole? Council President Coleman?
Yes.
Moving to the consent agenda, all matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired on any item, that item will be considered separately.
Does the public have any resolutions they would like? I'm sorry. Does the council have any resolutions they would like to be held for a future vote?
Yes. I'd like a discussion and roll call on G, J, GG, and II, please. G, J, GG, II. Yeah, it's a little crazy.
Jim, you said aye.
Why'd you jump over
Yes.
I like that?
Did I miss I?
No, you got it, but you went to GG, then I.
No, it's II.
Oh, I. Didn't hear it.
G, J,
GG?
GG,
And
II.
Okay.
Just to clarify, I have down G, letter G, letter J, II, and JJ. Is that correct?
GG,
Oh, GG. Okay, I'm sorry.
II.
Okay. She was on television, was she?
I'm sorry?
GG was on?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
A little before my time.
Okay. Now that you're ready.
That was, well,
So Councilman Quinlick, is the total 4?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's 3.
Does anybody in the community wish to have any resolutions held for future vote or discussion? Yes, sir. Which one, sir? He said CC and what? DD? Okay. I saw somebody in the back. Yes, ma'am. Anyone? Yes, sir. I think that's been called. If I- That was already called, sir. Anybody else? I see no one else raising their hand, so I assume that that's it. So we'll start with the letter G. No. Oh. I'm going to move the balance of the agenda for a vote. We need a motion.
Okay, just so the record is clear, it's the balance of the consent agenda except for G, J, GG, II, CC, DD, and H.
Take a motion?
Make a motion. I'll second.
Motion made by Council Vice President O'Toole and seconded by Councilman Lamb. Council Vice President O'Toole? Yes. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Sokozy?
Yes.
Councilman Loebman?
yes.
Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Councilman Quinless?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes. Should I call on the council to discuss? G. Okay, we'll start with item G. Was that you, Jim?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This was already, if I remember correctly, was already put out to bid, and the bids were already accepted. And I'm wondering why we're backtracking on it.
Council President, may I answer Jim's question since this comes from administration?
Go ahead.
So the reason, Jim, is the bids came back and were actually approved, but by the prior administration, but they were like $500,000 to put vinyl siding on the back of the Shogun. I think $500,000 for a little bit of vinyl siding is absurd, so we're rejecting that, and we're going to use our own buildings and grounds folks to vinyl the backside of the Shogun. It'll cost us about $8,000 versus $500,000, and instead, that $500,000 grant is going partially toward putting up a new park, and the other part is going to go towards 75 new wave runner pads down in Huddy Park, because it's a recreation grant, and I think it should be for recreation, not for vinyl siding. So that's why we're rejecting those bids.
But again,
Hopefully, you'll support rejecting them as well.
Well, let's not lump things in as we do this, because that's how you confuse people and distract from what's really happening. The question is, didn't we already accept bids to do this work? And I'm pretty sure it's more than just $8,000 worth of vinyl siding going on that building. Am I correct in that? Where's the
No.
No, it's
do
the
we have-
backside, it's the backside of the golf course.
Is there somebody from the engineering department that can go over that with us?
So
Anybody? Because I'm pretty confident it was more than just $8,000.
No, I understand that you're confident in your thoughts, and I believe you're confident in your
and when
thoughts,
it
and I'm
goes
not going to
down-
argue with you, but I am going to tell you that the price came back at $500,000, and the administration thinks we should reject that and use the recreation grant money, the ARPA funds, for recreation, which is why we're rejecting it. That's my explanation. You can accept that
And
or
again-
not accept that.
Did we get more than one bid?
3.
We had 3 bids. And were they all
They were all
$500,000?
very. They were all.
Was anybody near 8,000?
No one was near 8,000. One, I believe, was close to 400,000. The other was in the high 4s, and the other was in the high 5s.
So it sounds like a competitive bid went out, and we received competitive results.
It doesn't sound very competitive, but
Well, if you had somebody that you're telling me 3 people were $100,000 and one guy was 500, and we gave it to the 500, I'd agree with your argument on it.
well,
But I'm sure there's more to it than just $8,000 worth of vinyl.
well, as I said, we don't believe that it's worth spending that money on that, and we think we should be using that money for recreation. But you're more than welcome to your vote, and I think I've
appreciate that.
explained it fully as best I can.
Yeah.
Thank you, Council President.
Okay, let's take a vote on item G. Can I have a motion?
She has comment.
Oh, did you want to speak about that, ma'am?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
My name is Janet Lang. I live at 37 Cedar Drive, and I believe that the bid contract was to provide vinyl siding on the entire building, if I read the bid properly, not just one side of the building. So I believe that that should be put on the record properly, whether you still want to move forward or not. Again, that's up to you, but I think the public should know that the bid was not for one side. It's for the entire building to be resided, and I believe it hasn't been done.
I don't want to
in
step on
tw-
administration,
In 20
but the
years.
back end was the part that was severely damaged that needs to be remedied. And yet, the mayor, while looking at this, administration, while looking at this, decided that why do the whole building if the whole building doesn't need it? I believe in that too. Why fix something that's not
fine,
broke?
but
Yeah.
also, you're interrupting me without permission. So, just pointing that out, it's a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act to interrupt me, unless you are recognized by the president. So, I just wanted to straighten that out, and it was not for just some damaged siding. It was to preserve the building. As buildings age, they need maintenance, okay, to be kept up and maintained properly. In some cases, in our public buildings, that hasn't been the case, and a referendum vote went out, and we're all paying for public buildings to be repaired now because that scheduled maintenance wasn't put into the budget. Something like this, which is regular maintenance for regular upkeep for a public building, may occasionally be needed. So that's all I have.
Council President, may I? I just want everybody to know that Ms. Lang, I believe her boyfriend was the former recreation director,
That's irrelevant.
Wait a minute.
was the recreation director, but that does not make you an expert on what was going on.
Let's not go there. The comments have been made. Excuse me. The comments have been made. Let's end the discussion. Let's take the vote.
More comment?
Oh. Okay, Mr. Williams, come on.
Paul Williams, Broad Street, Toms River. Just real quick, a reminder through the council president to all of the council members and everybody present, if you do not have the floor from the council president, and I notice, Mr. Roderick, you're making an extra effort, so kudos, credit when it's due. But if you're not recognized by the council president, particularly a gentleman sitting at the far end here, you don't get to talk, you don't get to interrupt, you shut your mouth and be quiet till it's your time to talk.
Thank you.
And there you go again, shut up.
Thank you.
Why do we have to put up with this nonsense?
Now,
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, right now,
to the matter on
Mr.
the,
Williams, we're dealing with a resolution. You
the
made
matter
your
of the or-
point.
to the-
You made your point, sir.
to the
Please
matter
sit
of the
down.
ordinance, to the matter
Please
of the,
sit, there's no ordinance we're discussing, sir.
to the matter that
There's
has,
no
that-
ordinance we are
to the
discussing
matter
at
that
this
is
time.
open for the discussion
Please
right
sit
now.
down, sir.
Resolution.
Please sit down.
You're not going to let me talk.
You're not talking about the appropriate thing.
Mr. Molino, would you like to advise the council president or no?
You've already spoken. I mean, what, do you have a comment on?
Do I have 5 minutes or
Do you have
no?
a comment on this specific resolution?
I do.
Words have to be germane to the resolution.
Then speak about the resolution.
Thank you. That's what I was asking for. To the point of the resolution, pardon me, I referred to it as an ordinance. Ms. Lang made a very important point for all of the council members that they should take into consideration. We've heard from the mayor of what his intentions are. And his narrative is that it was only for one side of the building, the back side of the building, when in fact it is not only for the back side of the building. I caution the council members, as I'm going to caution you very often. The mayor is misleading you. He is manipulating you. He wants you to just co-sign his agenda. Just a couple days ago, I saw him
Mr. Williams, again, I have to remind you, you have to speak directly to the resolution.
speaking to the resolution.
No, you're not.
I'm speaking to the resolution.
No, you are not, sir.
About this cost for this project.
Then keep it on that subject.
That's what I'm talking about. And I am addressing what the mayor had said that what the intent is to do with that money. I get it. He has an idea in his mind of what he would rather be doing with that money versus what the money has already been approved for. Just a couple days ago, I saw him with the guys from Easy Dock walking across the street to the waterfront there. That's what they, and again, keep your mouth shut. That is what this is about. He has an agenda that he wants you to mindlessly and obediently follow. This is going to be a lot of repeated comments from me. I'm going to pound this every single time.
We
Thank
got
you.
it, we got it, thank
I
you.
hope you did.
Please take the vote.
I move to table.
Motion has been made by Mr.
Motion to table was
Table.
made by Councilman Quinlisk. A motion to table this resolution was made by Councilman Quinlisk and seconded by Councilman Sekozy. Councilman Quinlisk,
Yes, table.
Councilman Sekozy,
Yes, table.
Councilman Lamb,
No.
Councilman Loebman,
No.
Councilman Nivison,
No.
Council Vice President O'Toole, Council President Coleman.
No.
Can I make a comment at this point?
Yes.
My understanding is that it was originally for the whole building to be done. The only part of the building that really needed it, and needed it, I would say, really badly, was the back of the building. I looked at it myself when I saw what was going on. I saw the number. I said, really doesn't need to be done at this point. It's not that somebody told me that they were going to do this. It's that I made a decision myself. And I'm getting tired of being told to shut up and all of that. It's just not necessary. In a meeting like this, if you can't keep the proper decorum, you shouldn't be allowed to speak, because that's just ridiculous every time.
Yeah. Public comment is closed.
Well, when I'm
We have a
closed,
motion-
ma'am, I'm
we have to
sorry.
take a motion on this
I don't,
resolution.
You'll get a chance in a second.
Council President, can I make
Ladies
a
first.
comment? Council President, can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I looked at the building, and I've been in construction trades my whole life, and that entire building could be vinyl sided probably for $60,000 to $70,000.
Not 8?
No, well, the material, yeah, the material, 8,000, pretty close. If you've ever bought vinyl siding, you can do a lot of squares with $8,000 worth of vinyl. It's pretty cheap. So for 500,000, we're going to take another look at it. We're going to get some bids. We're going to try and do it in-house for a tenth of that. So that's where it is. And this man has no manipulation over me, or him, or him, or him. So for the rude people who just continuously make these immature comments, take it for whatever it's worth.
Council President, I'll take a vote.
They don't know me.
Make the motion, move G.
Better yet, one more thing. We ran on a platform to try to save money for the township so that our taxes don't get raised again like they were 2 years ago. And that's what we are trying to do.
Councilwoman O'Toole, there's a motion on the floor for this resolution. First, a motion has been made by Councilman Lamb. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion is made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Council Vice President O'Toole. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
I also looked at the building, and I don't know what the plans were for before, how many squares, but that whole building needs to be replaced, and that price includes metal bending, the top of the roof, the sides.
Councilman Sikosi, your vote, please.
I vote no. Thank you.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk? No. Council President Coleman?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to resolution. We're at H, right?
Council President?
J.
Council President, just let me add one more sentence, please.
Go ahead, Dave.
Please, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
The Wave Runner platforms are a good idea, because I do use Huddy Park on in the summertime, but there's places to tie up jet skis properly, but this is the first that I'm hearing about it. So that's all. Thank you, Council President.
Council President, may I jump in briefly? So that hasn't been voted on. It has come before the council. Again, I just would like to reiterate that, just so there's no confusion, that it's a grant specifically for recreation that also may not have been properly used, in that it was going toward vinyl for a restaurant on a recreational property. So the intent, again, of these grants is to provide more recreation opportunities for residents. So that's why we're doing this, along with the excessive price of the vinyl. But you will have an opportunity, Mr. Sikosi, to vote should we go forward with that plan.
We're going to go in alphabetical order, so we're going to go to item H.
Item H? Sure. Is there a discussion on H or just a roll call?
Any
Somebody in the
discussion
public,
on
If anybody has anything on H?
H?
Come on
Yes,
up.
sir. Please come up.
Come on up.
Come on up, sir. Oh, I'm sorry.
I thought the
It's
guy
hard to
raised his
see
hand.
back there.
He raised his hand for her.
Irene Watson, Messenger Street. I just wanted H to be expanded on, just to be explained a little bit more, that's all.
Okay.
I can explain that. So local police departments can, the federal government has a program from which local police departments can purchase surplus equipment to use in law enforcement, but state law requires a resolution of the governing body in order for the local police department to do that. So this resolution is in compliance with state law.
Should they decide?
Can I have a motion to approve letter H?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Sorry, who made the motion? A motion was made by Councilman Loban and seconded by Councilman Lamb. Councilman Loban?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole? Council President Coleman?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, we're on letter J.
Jay, that was me. I'm gonna guess you guys are gonna try and paint this in the same light as you just did the Shogun building, which is really the golf course building, as well. But this is another one I believe was already approved, money already set aside for. It's for repairs, not just painting, but it's for some of the repairs that need to be done to the building because it's exposed to the atmosphere and near the salt air, and you're gonna have a bigger problem if you don't take care of these issues now. So why is it we're gonna cancel this one? And again, did we get 3 competitive bids? Were they all in line? Or was something so far out of whack that you felt that you had to move this money somewhere else?
Well, this is not a grant, but this is painting of a parking lot, which I've been in and you've been in, and we believe that $500,000 to paint the outside walls of that building is excessive, and we looked at it, and I don't believe it really needs paint when I look at it.
Again, Mr. Roderick, first of all, questions are directed to Mr. President.
Yes.
And
Well,
again,
yeah.
the
But
question
Mr.
was.
President, excuse
the
me, but this
question
is an
was,
administrative,
doesn't
excuse me.
the-
Excuse me,
doesn't-
can I-
Quinlisk, the chair recognized me on this?
No,
I believe so.
actually,
Oh, no?
no, I did not.
Okay,
In all honesty, I did not.
okay, then go ahead,
Um,
Council President.
So again,
Jim-
I'm gonna say that it's beyond just paint. It's not just paint. If you don't repair a building before you paint it, or even after you paint it, you're gonna have a problem with the underlying structure of the building.
Why is it from a paint
Jim-
company, Mr. Quinlisk?
So did we,
What kind
didn't
of
we?
problem? What kind of problem we're gonna have?
Excuse me, didn't we have the engineering department review the project? Didn't they spec the project?
Sounds
Isn't
like
there
you're
more-
protecting a friend, a contractor friend. That's what this sounds like. Both of these
Enough.
sound like you're protecting people that were going to get $500,000 to paint a few walls.
Enough.
That's what this sounds like. Who are you protecting, Mr.
I'm
Quinlisk?
gonna
That's
tell you,
enough.
I'll tell you right now, my friends are the residents of Tom's River. Not just a few, but all of them. So, I ask you again,
Jim, can I just make a
Allowed
statement?
group
Can
of-
I make
of
a,
the
people
engineer's
that don't
report.
represent
Can I-
the 71% of voters.
Mayor,
who-
enough, please, let me speak.
I'm so happy you got those 13,000 people to vote.
Let me
for you.
speak.
Make a motion
Very
for Jay,
proud.
please. Make a motion for Jay.
Sounds like you're protecting a contractor.
Motion.
Jim, I just want to say.
I don't know who you think I.
Jim, can I talk,
Who would I
please?
be protecting? I don't know the painting contract.
Jim, may I speak,
Doesn't
please?
seem
Yes,
like
I'm
that.
sorry, Mr.
Thank you. I will tell you that because of what happened to me the last meeting, I took the time to do a thorough walkthrough of the garage, inside and outside, and there are some repairs that need to be made, nothing significant. And honestly, from my experience, I built my own house in the Poconos, did all the painting, sheetrock. I mean, I have a lot of construction experience. And I will tell you, I think the building could definitely use a good power washing. I agree with that. But I think the paint on the building is pretty stable, really do. So I'm just telling you, I did take the time to walk through and take a look from the inside and outside.
With all due respect, I think there was an engineer's report on it. Not that somebody decided, I don't like the color, let's go with blue. I think it's far deeper than that. And then if you do paint it, yes, you power wash it first. So go back and look at the engineer's report on it, if there is one. Go back and look at the bids and see what they're gonna do. And if they're competitive, let's not cancel another contract and jeopardize something far greater than a few $1,000s on paint.
500.
Do we know?
A lot more than, I mean, let's face it.
Make a motion on Jay, please.
Can I say something, Council President?
Go ahead.
I was there and I saw it.
It does look like we are going to be rebidding the job. And just for everybody who was clapping, it's your money that we're spending. So he's looking out for your money. So if you guys think $500,000 to paint the top floor of that garage is a good deal, when we could maybe get it done for 100 and put that forward towards something else, it's just, that's what we're doing. We're here to save the taxpayers' money and spend it as wisely as possible. Is that correct? No? That's not, I
motion on
thought
the
that's
floor.
what we
All
were
right.
here to do.
Let's get back
Well,
in order.
Council-
Motion,
Councilman Lamb has made a motion on
Yes.
this resolution. Is there a second?
is there a second?
I'll second it.
What was the motion?
A motion is made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Nivison. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
It's more than paint, it's structural.
No,
Structural
Just like
issues.
the town hall was repaired in need, somebody voted no on that. So I'm voting no, and hopefully we'll get a rebid.
Councilman Loebman?
It's just not paint.
It just so happens that I'm a structural.
Paint
engineer.
companies don't work on structures.
I've looked at the building,
Excuse me.
it's not a structural issue, it's a patching and painting. It's not $500,000 worth of work, and I agree with the mayor when he's saying that is money that could be looked at again and used someplace else, but that is not a structural problem on that garage. I've been there and I've seen it.
Councilwoman, your
That's
vote?
my business.
Your vote, please.
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
No.
Council Vice President O'Toole? Yes. Council President Coleman?
Yes. Here on CC.
So that was JJ, GG, CC.
M.
Okay, we're on resolution CC. Comments?
CC? Oh, you missed it. No, wait, no, sorry, that's okay, that's public.
We have CC.
We're on CC.
Is it GG?
DG.
Is this?
Yes, sir.
Dennis Galanti, 1149 Cherokee Court, Toms River. My question is that this, you waive the local review on the township budget. That is before the director of the financial,
That,
local finances?
yes, it goes to the local finance board, it goes to the DCA. And honestly, the CFO, which who's here has a 3-year term, this is something she does every year, and it goes to the DCA for review as opposed to being reviewed here. They review it.
Okay, so we do have a CFO now, and they're certified?
The CFO is still on staff.
Certified?
She is certified, and tonight, because she is going to be leaving us tonight, we appointed Bowman and Company to act as a CFO while we seek new folks for that position.
I did some research on this, and I looked at the New Jersey government 5:30-7. Now, I'm sure that she has gone, or who knows, that everything that allows a waiver has been satisfied. Municipal aid is one question.
She's
Grants funding is another question. Certifications are another question. I'm sorry.
yes, so
All
she's.
this has been taken care of.
Well, this has been going. This is the way. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I can do DD now?
That'd be fine.
Okay. The resolution.
Oh, wait a minute,
that-
sir, we have to vote on,
We voted on DD. DD has passed already. Right?
we need
Stop.
a motion to
I
approve.
for it to be removed.
Is it
DD
removed?
We're on, still on CC, right?
We're still on
Still
CC, so
We need a vote.
we need to
CC.
vote on CC unless there are
Right.
any more comments on it.
Move CC.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Loebman. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Sokozy?
I vote yes, but other people in the years before always voted no on this.
Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole? Yes. Council President Coleman?
Yes. Okay, now we're on DD, so sir, you're on.
Okay. This is to enable, to allow an amendment to the temporary budget? Is that what this is? Or is this to approve an existing amendment?
This is an extension of the temporary.
Sorry?
Well, I know, Ms. Tremolin, you keep yelling out that I'm not the chair, but these are questions, excuse me, these are questions for,
Hold, Mr. Williams, you're out of order.
Mr. Williams, you're screaming in a meeting.
Will you please remove this gentleman from the room, officer? Please remove this gentleman from the room,
Thank you.
please.
Sorry, Mr. President, if you're going to be calling him out for interrupting, shouldn't you also be calling out the mayor for interrupting out of order?
It's an administrative question, and traditionally, Mr. Quinlisk, the mayor answered these questions along with the BA, but you have a different opinion now, with that there's a different mayor. You don't want me to answer questions for the public about our agenda? I'm really lost.
Mr. President, have you called on him yet, or is he still interrupting?
I've been coming to these
All right, hold
council
on.
meetings.
Excuse
Wait a
me.
minute,
Sorry.
time out. Look, this is my meeting, I'm calling a timeout, okay? Sir, you're still at the microphone. If you have additional comments, make the comments, and then I'll recognize the council member and the mayor to make comments, okay?
I'm trying to get answers from the mayor. I've been coming to these meetings, not recently, but I came here for 15 years, and always, these questions were answered unless anybody else knew the answer. The mayor was given the ability to be able to answer the question along with his financial officers, okay?
Yes, sir.
That's the way it was supposed to be.
Okay.
So that was my, is there an amendment pending, or is this just to enable? And is this a temporary budget that's already been crafted? And is this budget online?
Okay.
All right, Mr. Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you. I'm sorry, the extension of the temporary budget is there until we get the budget. So basically what they're doing is they take a piece of what last year's budget is, and they calculate it based on a quarter, and that's all that is.
Is this for view from the public, the temporary?
You
budget?
can, you could always open everything, but,
Well, shouldn't it just be online as all
it,
other?
it should be online as well, yes. Mr.
It's not.
Perglio, is it up?
I looked today, I didn't find it.
No, once it passes, we can, if the CFO wants it on the website, we can put it on the website.
Isn't it required?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
But I'm not.
Yeah, no,
CFO.
we'll get it to you.
Thank you.
Any other comments on DD? Call for a vote. You have a motion to,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
A motion is made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Iveson. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
Yes, but other people in the past always voted no.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Absolutely.
Council President Coleman?
yes. Moving right along, we're on GG.
That was me as well, wasn't it?
Okay, Jim, you're on.
Okay, this is another one that I think we've already voted on, we've already passed, the money's already set aside, it's budgeted for. These are vehicles that are extremely difficult to get, not because they're special, but just because of the state of the economy, and they're very, very expensive. Why is it we would take this time to cancel these, and please don't tell me to buy a jet ski pad?
Okay.
President.
Yes, sir.
You gotta answer that.
Oh, me?
You're the
Oh.
president.
Oh, gee, I understand. It's my understanding that a lot of the vehicles that we have that would be replaced by this purchase only have 60,000 miles on them. And as you know, in today's automotive world, 60,000 miles on a vehicle almost is really nothing. Some vehicles now are running 150, 200,000 miles and are still moving right along. So we're trying to save money right now because we have, looks like we're going to have a budget hole to fill. And this could be one. It doesn't mean that in the future we can't make these purchases, but somebody needs to take a look at what the real deal is because, like I say, a lot of the vehicles are very low mileage vehicles with today's standards.
Mr. President, no disrespect to you at all, but those are the same arguments we heard when we passed this the last time, all right? It's not just the miles on a work truck, it's the hours on it. It's the abuse the truck gets carrying things. And the fact that it takes so long to get them right now, and the fact that that they're so expensive means that if you cancel this today and order it again tomorrow, the clock starts all over again trying to get these vehicles. So why do we have, when we were left on December 31st with a balanced budget, why is it we have to cut everything, especially when this was already accounted for in last year's budget? Mr. President.
Council President.
I gave you my insight, Jim, and that's the best I can do. Okay, if somebody else
All right.
wants to speak,
Yes, of course.
please, Jim.
Dan, I think
John.
you'd better served as the president instead of the mayor.
No, John wants.
Mr.
Jim,
Quinlisk, I have the floor.
Mr. Quinlisk.
We have,
John
we
wants
have
to
10
speak,
to
not
12
the
vehicles
mayor.
right now in the parking garage at Town Hall that aren't being used, that can be used and replace these vehicles. There's no reason why we need to waste money and purchase brand-new vehicles when we have other vehicles that can be used for the same purposes. We're here to save the taxpayers money, and that's exactly what we'll do.
We're also here to keep the town rolling. No pun intended there.
It's not going to roll very far if we're way over budget.
Again, we don't have a budget. You haven't had a budget meeting. We're
working on
guessing you might have a $3.4 million shortfall. We're
Okay.
guessing at that.
I'm going
All
to
right?
close
And
this
if this is already
discussion at
budgeted
this time.
for
We can
in last
revisit
year's-
it. We can
last year's
revisit it.
budget,
You no
not
longer
this
have the
year's.
floor, thank you.
We can revisit it later. Please take a vote.
Sure we will.
I'll
All
move,
right,
GG.
calm
Nope.
down,
Move,
calm
GG.
down. Yes, sir, come.
Comment, come up.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. There's a motion and a second on the floor.
Council President.
There's a motion and a second on the floor.
Is that correct, clerk?
Was there, I didn't hear.
I didn't catch any,
He
I
tried
don't
to
know.
rush it in before people got a chance to speak. so
He didn't
yes.
realize that you were.
All right, let's go. Hi, Phil, how you doing?
Good, how you doing tonight?
Good.
Phil Brilliant, 79 Holly Tree Lane. Just a quick comment. As a commissioner at the MUA, we plan our vehicles, and I will tell you, we plan a year ahead, because right now it takes that long to get these heavy-duty vehicles in. If you cancel, what I would, a first recommendation is, maybe look at delaying delivery as opposed to immediate cancellation if you think you don't need them. But I will tell you, based upon the backlog and where we are, it took us a year to get one pickup truck. So just to have that in mind as you vote tonight. Thank you.
Hi, Chris.
How are you, Mr. Coleman?
Not bad, yourself.
Are these also police vehicles also?
No.
They're not. None of these vehicles, because it says you're canceling a contract regarding Pellegrino Chevrolet, and it says police department. Am I right about this? Or it's not police department vehicles?
It's not a police car. It's a general term for all the cars.
But it does say the police department, that's why I'm asking.
It's not for a police
I just
car.
wanted to answer.
It's not a police car, but it is a police vehicle, too.
So the answer would be we're going to cut police vehicles. Is that
No, they
accurate?
can take one of the ones in the parking lot, Mr. Raymond. There's
There's-
12 of them
Plenty
downstairs.
of vehicles that have barely any miles on them.
They could take one. They're brand new. Mohill bought tons of them. They're downstairs,
So-
first and second floor. Anybody
It
wants to
seems
take
to
a
be that the
drive.
prior administration bought a bunch of vehicles on their way out and tried to leave it on our dime, and we won't let that happen.
And it also seems that
Can
there
I
are
say
certain
still-
folks that are trying to protect those
All right,
contracts
please,
for
please let,
special interests.
please let the speaker have the floor back. Go ahead, Jerry.
So since Valentine's Day, and I am sticking on the topic, I'm still trying to understand as to why we cut police positions. And I understand you want to hire EMTs. If you're going to cut the police department, and then you're going to cut the police vehicles, well, how are they ever going to get to a call? I don't understand this.
Well, he tried to explain to you, and
I
I
heard
did
his
go, I did go
commentary.
visit.
I don't agree with it.
I visited the garage myself.
You did?
And I saw, yeah, I did. And I
Okay.
saw the vehicles that he's referring to.
Over
Very
here.
nice, yes.
So there's police vehicles over here now?
There
This
are
isn't for a
vehicles
police
there
car.
that can be used by the police department.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Welcome, Chris,
Appreciate
thank you. Yes, sir.
How you doing? Jim Wright, 829 Ethan Court. I can tell you from experience, I'm a retired chief of police from Garwood in Union County. I've done purchasing of vehicles. If you're talking about police interceptor models, that is a police patrol vehicle.
These are not interceptors. It's
These are not
just
police interceptors?
nothing on there like that. No, there's a couple of F-250s. What else, John?
Yeah, they're all pickup trucks.
Pickup trucks. So it's
None of-
just the way it was, it's just the way it's written.
Were any designated for the police department at the time of the purchasing order?
We weren't here.
None of these are interceptors. None of these are,
I just asked you if they were designated for the police department at the time of the purchase order.
They're not police cars used for police business, so.
I just asked you if they were designated for the police department.
they could take, sorry.
They may be for someone to ride around in a pickup truck. I'm not sure. I would say yes.
Can I get a yes or no on a simple question?
No.
It's not that
Were
simple.
they designated
It's not that
for
simple.
the police department? Well, if they were going to the police department, the purchase order would be through the police department, right? Through their through their line,
It was not listed as a police department vehicle on the list that we reviewed.
the list that you reviewed.
Yeah.
So you could be wrong, though.
No, the vehicles
I
that
don't know
were,
whether-
All right, I'll just.
the
I'll
the
just
vehicles
digress
that were
on-
canceled, the vehicles that were canceled were not police vehicles. There were no interceptors. If somebody wants a vehicle, we just gave one to EMS, we gave one to another department. There are a lot of vehicles downstairs.
And I'm very familiar
The
with
police
that.
department, if they want another vehicle, could come take another vehicle.
I'm very familiar with trying to
Where
save
did
money.
you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I already said it. You can review that in a minute.
Gotcha.
I got one more point on purchasing. With all vehicles, whether they're for the police department, pickup trucks, or anything else, turnaround is a good 18 months. If you're kicking this can down the road for another year, we're talking 30 months before you will see a vehicle in this town. So if you're talking about a car with 60,000 miles on it, it'll be pushing 90. Now you're talking about increasing your maintenance costs. So you're only kicking the can down the road, and you're going to cost a lot more money in the long run. It's not going to help.
Okay, call for a vote. You have a motion to
make a motion.
approve?
I'll second the motion.
A motion is made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Nivison. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
Yes.
Councilman Sikozi?
I believe that there was 9 vehicles total on this. Correct me if I'm wrong. We went over this last week.
There were 9, 3 were delivered already that we couldn't stop, unfortunately. And there was about, I would say, what, $500,600,000 left
Okay,
with the
so how
vehicles.
many, what, 5 or 6 we're talking about?
I believe it's 6.
Okay, thank you. So, I believe that we need these. These were part of the budget before. We have the money, so I'm going to vote no.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
With all the money we just saved tonight alone, I think we can afford to have our captains back and the CSOs. Delaying these purchases is very short-sighted and not very well advised. I say no.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes. Resolution II. Is that you, Jim?
Yeah, sorry. This is another one, we're hiring even more attorneys, so maybe that's why we can't afford police captains, because here we are putting out more money for yet another batch of attorneys. I don't understand the need for this. Can somebody please explain why we need a backup prosecutor?
Can the business administrator explain that?
First of all, I'd like to make a point of order that Mr. Williams was requested by the police department, actually demanded to be removed from the meeting, and he's still present. So will you please remove Mr. Williams, as the council president stated earlier.
I don't think that.
Please remove Mr. Williams, as I said before, officers. Please.
Jim, I can tell you about the lawsuit from the last time you threw me out. It just got filed last night. Yes. So I don't get to tell you that the judge is gonna have to hear from you or you on March 15th. You'll get served tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
And what was the?
Jim, if the council president would let me, I could explain the need for the backup prosecutor.
The backup prosecutor, Council President, may I be recognized to address why we advertised for one?
I believe the attorney wanted to address that, and then you may, Mayor. Okay, attorney?
In short, the full-time prosecutor. His name is Paul Truancy matters are building up. That was the need for this.
You always have to have a conflict, and you have to have a prosecutor should the prosecutor get sick. The prior prosecutor had a very large firm. He represented 30 municipalities and had prosecutors that could fill in. The new prosecutor needs a backup should he be sick or should there be a conflict. We always had a conflict, so this is accomplishing both of those things.
Okay, any other comments on that? Okay, call for a vote, please.
I'll move.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Loebman and seconded by Councilman Lamb. Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Sikozi?
I believe the prosecutor's budget was around $92,000 a year, and I don't know what it is now with all these assistant prosecutors, whatever you want to call them, and this is another Democratic firm here. So I vote no.
Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
I'll abstain.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes. Resolution JJ.
Nope, that's it, right?
Oh, I'm
We're
sorry.
done.
Okay.
We are moving to the reports.
Yep.
JJ was already voted on. That was voted on during the
Not
consent
called
agenda.
separately, it was voted on already.
It's already been voted on, thank you. Okay, the reports. Any questions? Can you explain to the JJ?
It's not pulled, right? JJ wasn't pulled, right?
No one removed it.
No one removed JJ.
JJ was not asked to be voted on separately.
I don't have that recorded.
I don't have it recorded, and I recorded each one.
Confirmed by Mr. Merlino.
Can we back up and let it?
Ask for a legal opinion from Mr. Molino.
We shouldn't.
Mr. Merlino?
I don't have it.
I don't have it, I
It's
don't have
not-
it listed either. It was voted on,
listed.
so the matter's been voted on.
So we're moving to the reports.
What was JJ that they're so concerned about?
Any discussion on the report? Okay, sorry.
Take a motion.
Move it? Need a motion to approve the reports?
Motion to move reports?
Second.
A motion is made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Loebman. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes.
Moving to the
Moving on.
approval of the bills. Take
Have a
on
motion
the
to
bills.
approve the bills?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a
I'll
second?
second the motion.
A motion is made by Councilman Loebman and seconded by Councilman Nivison. Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
He abstained from all bills payable to Borough of Lavalette. Also abstained from all bills payable to City Hall, Zappel, and Zabarski. Also, bill number 24-00797, payable to Dasty McGuckin, Attorneys at Law. And bill number abstained from bill number 24-01031 to magistrate salaries, and yes to the balance.
Councilman Quinlisk?
I just have to abstain from Remington Vernick Engineers and yes to the balance.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes.
Elected officials' comments.
Do we start this end and we'll work down? So, Councilman Lamb?
Thank you, Council President. This will be brief. I just want to thank the Business Administrator, John Solanas, and Carl DeLeo, the tax collector, for providing us with the tax collector's annual report. Gives us a snapshot. On our, as we enter the budget season, again, what we need to watch out for, and again, where our needs need to be. And I want to thank them for providing that. And that's all this evening. Thank you.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to point out that I know the police department submitted for a grant that covered up to $400,000 of a mutual service agreement for a CSO program, and I didn't get to see that on the final agenda. I also know that last year, the ice skating rink and the golf course alone added another $400,000 of income to the town. Both of those could have been used for keeping our police department the way it was functioning. Okay. The jet ski docks, I haven't heard a thing about it, but to reallocate money from one thing for something that we haven't voted on yet seems a bit premature. I think we should have left those other projects going the way they were. Dan, I don't know the painter or the siding guy. I don't know anybody that somehow I'm going to personally benefit from them getting those projects, but thank you very much for that insight. On December 31st, 2023, somebody was handed a ship that was tacking on a beautiful course. It had 500 plus employees, and we'll say a crew of over 100,000 people, almost 100,000 people. Since January 1st, several very good crew leaders were thrown overboard. Others were made to walk the plank. And even now, some are trying to get away from the pending disaster by jumping into the last lifeboat. This ship is way off course and heading for the Rocky Shoals. And you were standing proudly on the bow with your chest puffed out, touting how well you're doing. Touting how well you're doing. Turn around, Captain, oh Captain. Your ship is empty and sinking fast. Thank you.
Councilman Logan?
I wouldn't even know what to add to this. I have no comments.
Okay. Councilman Niverson?
I just want to reiterate, we're here to save your money, and we're spending your money. So you guys want to clap when wasteful things get turned down? I can't understand it. It's just not how I was raised. I've worked 3 jobs, 40 years, probably work till I die, because I don't have a retirement or a pension. I just got health benefits I didn't even know I was going to get when I volunteered for this job. So now I can die and I'll be covered. But anyway, so Oh, thank you. So you want me to die? Good. Oh, okay, excellent. That's really nice.
Wonderful,
So-
wonderful thing to
Yeah,
say.
that's very mature. So we're spending your money, so if you want us to just blindly vote these completely wasteful projects in, like Quinnslick, I don't know what skin he's got in the game with these things, but $550,000 for vinyl siding on one side of a building, to me, that's excessive. We're gonna revisit that. It's gonna get sided. So we'll take that 400,000 savings, put it towards other things. 535,000 to paint the top floor of this parking garage? Insane. I'm not gonna vote yes. And I don't know why he's so passionate about some of these things. I just can't figure it out. Anyway, that's all I have to say. We're trying to save your money, okay? So the taxes don't go up. Because everybody's always complaining, we have the highest taxes. That's what I'm here to do. I'm spending your money as wisely as I can. He has no control over my vote. Believe it or not. Maybe my wife does, but that's about it.
Okay. Councilman Chakosy?
First, I want to thank everyone here for coming tonight. This is your town, and if you don't speak up, if you don't come, then more bad things are going to happen. I know it's late, and we all have lives and children and things to take care of, but you got to come to these meetings. It's so important. And I know Jim is grateful also, and so am I. I just want to mention that the town, as I understood it, we got a $1 million grant for the boardwalk in Ortley Beach, and I hope we could finish up the paperwork and get that in so we don't lose it. Other towns didn't get anything, and this was from the past administration and the professionals that got this grant. So I'm happy about that.
Past administration had nothing to do with the grant. That was just a gift from Murphy.
Okay. Second is Murphy is reappropriating school funding, and still nobody knows what the formula is, but I hope Tom's River gets their fair share. And also, I'm concerned about the town's budget and also the business improvement district. They haven't gotten their budget yet or money to pay their employees. So I hope we could take care of that really quick, because they do so much for downtown down here with all the events. It's got to be 70, 75 events. And frankly, if this wasn't the county seat, we would have no downtown. We would have no waterfront. It would be zero. It would be tumbleweeds down there. Look at the businesses that have gone, but look what's happened in the last couple years. We do have a surplus in our budget. I believe it's about $17.5 million in the budget, okay? And then lastly, this evening, and I'm still shaking about this, is that we had to sign, every once in a while, we sign resolutions and proclamations, and buried on the bottom of this packet, and I don't believe anybody up here read that one proclamation, pardon me, is to Ron Hubbard, the Dianetics Scientology, doing a proclamation on his birthday and to the fund. I refuse to sign that. I wouldn't sign that if my life depended on it. I don't know what it was about, but oh my God. So that's all I have to say. Thank you. Good evening. Keep coming. And it's in the package if anybody wants to see it.
Councilwoman O'Toole?
I have a lot to say, but I'm going to save it for another time, because if I start, I won't stop. I am very disillusioned with all of the proceedings. I think Quite frankly, we have people here that are the loud majority while the silent majority doesn't come, and I wish they would. Everything that everybody tries to do because of who they are gets booed, gets razzed. We're here as servants for you, period. We're trying to do the best that we can with what we have. We're not gonna please everybody every time. We're not gonna please most of the people all the time. But we are trying. And I think that the people up here deserve a little bit more respect than what's been shown. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
I guess it's my turn. Change is difficult. I've been through a lot of change in my life, and change is difficult. However, around 70% of the voters indicated they were unhappy with the direction the township was headed. I said around 70, Dave. The elected team listened and is taking a look at all departments to ensure they're running efficiently. In some cases, change was necessary to become fiscally responsible. It should be noted that Toms River has thousands of senior citizens who love Toms River and are in fixed incomes. The team is mindful of that and are attempting to keep taxes as low as possible while meeting the needs of the community. We will be looking for ways that we can keep taxes in check. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open the meeting to public comment. I remember
it's
that
my,
we-
it's my,
I'm sorry, Mayor.
That's okay.
I apologize. Mayor, it's your turn.
I would just like to thank the council for supporting our agenda and also express that a lot of these folks that are yelling out and they're very loud and boisterous and they don't represent the majority of the folks in this town. 70% of the voters wanted change in this community. They wanted fiscal responsibility. They wanted a new direction. And these small groups of very loud people don't represent the majority of the folks here in Toms River. So I wouldn't be turned off by that, and I commend you all for your courage. It's not easy, doing what you do, particularly when folks are getting so aggressive. I also would like to talk a little bit about, I'm still shocked as to why Councilman Quinlisk would rather take recreational money and use it on the Shogun as opposed to for recreation. I'm lost as to why he would want to buy more vehicles, even though we have so many vehicles that are not being used. Again, it seems to me like there's this small group of people who are very loud at council meetings that are trying to turn back the clock. But we're going to move forward in the direction that the people want to move in. They don't want to see their money wasted. They don't want to see $500,000 spent to paint a parking lot. They want to see the money in their parks, in their streets. They want their road raised. They don't want to walk through knee-deep water into their driveway. That's the kind of jobs, those are the kind of things that government is supposed to be doing. They're not supposed to be padding the pockets of their friends with high-paying contracts. And again, it's a very small group of people who are incredibly loud. But the voters spoke much louder. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open the meeting for public comment. Yes, sir, come right up. By the way, just as a reminder that we are in the 90-minute time limit for all comments, and at 85 minutes, the clerk will hold up his hand with 5 fingers, indicating that we have 5 minutes left, okay? Yes, sir.
Okay. First, on on JJ resolution for the.
No, sir, name and address again, I'm sorry.
Dennis Galanti, 1149 Cherokee Court.
Thank you.
In the past, of all the meetings I've come here, the fire district budget is put under a resolution. Now, it's always been done by, if I remember, an ordinance, and always had to come up before public hearing and public comment and because the Fire District 2 budget, I believe, was defeated. It's up to the council that you can take and remove X amount of money. I believe it's usually around $10,000.
We did.
And then you approve the budget. But why was it hidden under a resolution instead of brought forward for the public and public comment through an ordinance?
Do you mind if I answer, Mr. Galante? It's actually, I'm new at this, and you're right, I have seen, I did not specify, we did cut $10,000 from the budget, or rather, Tim Carson, who can come up and speak on the matter, did cut $10,000 from the budget. He expressed that he needed to get this up because our next meeting isn't for a month, and asked if we could put it on. And since he removed $10,000 like he traditionally, like the fire district traditionally did, I gave the council president the go-ahead to put it on. I did not anticipate, and it's my fault, I did not anticipate that it would be in the consent agenda.
Right.
And it won't happen again. It'll be separate as it traditionally was. And so I apologize and I take responsibility for that. It's my fault.
Is it required by statute that it is done by ordinance? And that is this allowable, that hasn't violated a state statute, that it needs to become before the public?
If it did, we'll put it back on. We'll look into it tomorrow. And if it did, we'll put it back on and we'll hold a special meeting.
Okay. I went to the animal shelter today. 8 dogs, 3 cats. I was very impressed in the animal shelter. I was impressed the way it was run. I was impressed the way it was clean. I want to get rid of the rumor mill, and I'm trying to get down to the bottom of why the animal shelter should be closed. I'm against it. I'm against closing that shelter. I went on the budget. I tried to look for all the monies involved and what it takes to support that animal shelter, and I could not find it.
Chair, Matt, okay, so is that all right with you?
Go ahead, Mayor.
So, first of all, I went outside today and I told everyone that it is a rumor mill. There's never been a plan to close the shelter. There has been talks with the prior administration and with my administration about allowing the county to run it. When I first took office, as you know, Mr. Galante, I've always been the man on the outside, and I've been sitting in these meetings where people have complained about the shelter for 6 years, and I've gotten all kinds of complaints. It was the first weekend I was in office. I went down to the shelter. I went to walk into the door, and it was locked. A woman came to the door. She said, "We're by appointment only," then recognized that it was the mayor and invited me in. When I went in, it was filled. There was one empty cage, but it had a hole in the wall because an animal dug its way out through the sheetrock wall after being in there so long. And I asked for a spreadsheet about how long the animals were there. And many of the animals were there in excess of a week, in excess of a year, some of them 2 years. One animal was in there for 4 years. I reached out to folks in the press to see if I could get folks on board. I inquired about signage and things like that, with the goal being to get these animals adopted. We eliminated the fees. I sent Drew Chabot, who's an animal lover, but a really bright guy that I had intended on being a department head for the administration. I sent him down there. And if you watch, he's done a phenomenal job. We now have adopted most of those animals out, although we were totally full. There's also a rumor out there that, that the county is a kill shelter and we're not, and we're sending the animals out to be killed, and nothing could be further from the truth. We have so far diverted 6 animals to the county, and that was in, I think, the second and the third week when we were full or close to full, and I did not have the confidence that we could get those animals adopted. It turned out that the facility was always by appointment only, and as you know, there have always been complaints about it being difficult to adopt an animal, and you know, Mr. Galante, you could obviously have your 5 minutes back when I'm done. So we made a priority of doing that, of getting animals adopted, and Drew Chabot did a fantastic job, and I'm so happy that he did that, and we did start accepting some animals back. We are in talks with the county. They do have a much lower kill rate. I think the last time Tom's River reported In 2021, we put down 12.5% of our dogs. The county only put down 0.5%. My assumption being that those were only animals that they were required to do so by judicial order. Similarly, we put down one animal recently after a 4-year court case. And once the judge orders that, he orders it. But they have the expertise, and they have expressed interest in running it for us. And given that when I got there, the conditions were poor and the animal shelter was full and it wasn't opened to the public, I am inclined to explore that further as far as allowing them to run the facility. And I'm willing to do so even though, Mr. Galante, right now it doesn't even cost us any money. There's this very large donation that's in the shelter. So we could run it for 2 years on that without even tax dollars, but I really want to make sure that whoever's running the shelter is doing a great job. And I'm not so sure, given my time on council, it's not that I'm not so sure, I feel like it was not being run well for years. In 2022, they never even reported to the state, so we don't even know what the kill numbers, the last set of kill numbers were. But I do know that the last year that we reported, an animal was 25 times more likely to be put down at the in Toms River than it was at the county. Just based on the 12.5% kill rates, an animal would be 25 times more likely to get put down in Toms River than at the county. And I know this is a passionate issue, and I know there are going to be people that are very mad at me, but I came in and I looked to do the right thing by animals. It had nothing to do with finance. It had nothing to do with good politics, that's for sure. And it had everything to do with making sure that these animals got adopted out, and I'm proud of what we've done. And I hope that answers your question. And Mr. Kruglio, could you please restore his 5 minutes?
The problems in the past have all been solved. Now, again, went on the budget today, and I looked, and I tried to find any kind of expenses, how much it takes to run it. Now, $500,000 a year, I don't know. I can't find it. I want to see that. I want to see that.
It's based, it's probably a little more than that, but it's based on $80,000 salaries for the, or 80 some odd thousand plus benefits plus pension payments for the 4 animal control officers, which wind up then about $1.30 or so each. And then you have other employees and you have the part-timers, but they don't really cost a thing. The part-timers, relative to the size of the expenditures there, are not a significant component of the cost.
Can I get paperwork for all the?
Yeah, you can pull salaries, or if you want, you know how to email me. I'll send you the salaries.
Everything.
I have this. You know me. I'm a data guy. I have all the spreadsheets. I have the spreadsheets of how long the animals were in there, and none of those were. That wasn't my data set. That was the prior administration's data set. So.
Just got $1 million donation from a woman that passed. Okay, and I also saw in the expenses, $1,049,000 in a trust fund. Now, I also saw something said that there was a bid put out. If this is to go to the county, that there's already a bid put out for the use of the animal shelter. So what happens to that? If said and done, if it goes to the county, what happens to the $1 million? And then what happens to the $1,049,000?
Great questions. You always have the best. You always have the best questions, right?
All the donations.
Okay, so the bid was not put out for the animal shelter. The bid was put out for animal control, because if the county took it over and decided to keep animal control, we would need animal control for our township, right? And as far as the $1 million donation, we are inquiring legally, but it's my understanding that the money has to follow the animals. It can't be repurposed. Even if it could be repurposed, I would give it to the shelter the county, if they were running our shelter. That would be my inclination, but of course, council would have to vote on all of these things.
Like when I first came here about the animal shelter 12 years ago, in its inception, I believe it's been there for 10 years. This place was packed. This is what your taxpayers and residents wanted. There were people streamed out into the vestibule because they couldn't put any more fire ability of residents in this place. So don't do it. Just don't.
Well, it would never be closed. Are you personally opposed to the county running it versus the way it's currently been run?
I've been fine with it, except for the problems in the past, those last couple of years of problems. And when I went in there, I was very impressed. So unless I'm shown.
No, it's doing
that-
much better, but Mr. Chabot is supposed to be taking over recreation and running a department, and he's done a phenomenal job, but I mean, I really need his talents. And I'm open to it. I mean, I'm open to letting it run. I'm open to the county doing it. We're just looking at all of this. Unfortunately, there are a small group of very well organized political folks that go out on social media and propagate these rumors. And, it's part of the political process. But at the end of the day, I came in and decided to do a good thing. That was the goal, doing a good thing for the animals. At the end of the day, as you said, with that donation, there's no cost for me keeping it. So the only reason I would look to give it to someone else is to make sure the animals have a better shake at life. And again, if you want more time, by all means.
No, just one more. Mr. Coleman, I appreciate what you're trying to do. I appreciate your initial statement, but you have no control of these meetings. And I'm not talking about the cheering group in the back. I'm not talking about the residents that come up here and criticize, but never seem to come up with a solution. And that's what bothers me the most, okay? And this is why you allow the mayor to speak. He just gave everybody in this audience the amount of information they need about the shelter. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Jillian Messina, Pawtucket Court. Happy that Dennis said that about not coming up with solutions because I'm a solution girl. And I think that I had said earlier it would be a really good idea with the animal shelter if we had some of the high school kids. There's CAP programs, there are service hours that kids need. And I don't know about you guys, but kids can make a reel for Instagram or Facebook quicker than any adult I know. And all you would have to do is bring the kids in, let them play with the puppies, the animals, the rabbits, make some reels, and they'll just keep getting adopted out. And you could save a lot of money using service hours. So as far as solutions, I appreciate that, and I agree, I'm a solutions person. Mr. Nivison, you had said that you guys were just trying to stop wasteful spending, and I respect that very much. But my comment and not question is, I don't believe that police supervision is wasteful spending. It's important, and we sat here for 90 minutes with compelling, factual statements for all of you, and you just blindly stared at us, some of you, and then voted anyway. So when you say wasteful spending, I'm truly insulted that you think supervision in a police department is wasteful, especially as a business owner in Toms River. You own Silverton Farms. I mean, don't you want police response there if somebody comes and robs your place? Or if somebody's stealing from you? Wouldn't you want that police response? And then when that police officer comes, don't you want them to have training and know what they're doing and be accountable to supervisors? I mean, and then as far as solutions go, the police chief found a grant, and that grant can be promised prior to it being voted on. But you didn't want that solution. That solution could have had the CSO program and the captains, but you didn't seem to want it, and I'm trying very hard to wrap my head around this. I really, really am. And Mr. Coleman, you said that you guys are looking for efficiencies in the town and to make sure that everything is run well, and I respect that. But the police department is the most efficient police department in the state, and we told you that, and we showed you that, and it was independently, not from right around here, independently in a study, and again, it was ignored, and I can't wrap my head around it. You know, and tonight I come in here and there's pictures of animals, and I think that's really cool. But there was no photographer for those two young men that spent 18 years to become an Eagle Scouts. Where was the respect? And I appreciate that you guys honored them, but you should have completed the task. I understand that right now you're in a PIO crisis, I get it, but one of you could have came up here and taken the picture or asked somebody when they walked in the room. It's important to those kids. They spent 18 years doing that. Eagle Scout is no easy task, and they deserved respect, but those animals got more respect than those two children. So I have one final thought, and the mayor earlier stated to a woman who had the courage to come up here that she is not qualified to speak on something. But what I'd like to know is and all due respect to teachers, it's one of the hardest jobs, I could never do it. But what qualifies a teacher who has never stepped in the police department to break it down the way he is doing it? I just don't understand. And I want to give you guys a chance. I've had conversations with you. I believe that you came up here to do the right thing, but time and time again, you're proving that you're not. And you gotta help us understand why. Because I just sat here and said, facts. But for some reason, somebody who has never stepped foot in a police department knows more about it than the police chief, who was not allowed to speak on it when asked.
Council President, I would just like to point out something, if you have a second.
Yes, Mayor, go ahead.
Under Roberts, I should have an opportunity to respond. I just would like to say that although we went through this all already, captains are not responding to phone calls. They're not responding to police calls. So,
Ma'am, you're out of order. You are out of order, please.
and for someone who worked in the police department for however many years, 9, you should know that captains don't answer calls.
I've been on calls they've been at, because I'm a PIO.
What were you doing on the call?
In the policy, I'm supposed to be there. Have you read it? You don't know anything about it.
You're on a call with a captain, an emergency call with a captain? I'm lost. Captains don't make calls.
All right, I'm going to end that
Thank you.
conversation.
Appreciate it.
We're going to go back to public comment. Ma'am, it's your turn. It's your turn, ma'am.
Donna Sergio, 601 Main Street. A lot was said today, and I have so many questions. I'm hearing so much about our budget. The budget that is balanced has a $17.5 million surplus, and a budget that's short, and we're never going to make our bills. What is it? I mean, was last year's Jim? Was last year's budget balanced?
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned that we have a $17,500 surplus somewhere.
That's correct.
Okay.
And it was stated to me by the chief financial officer.
Okay.
And we also have, going into 2024, we have $112 million
He just makes these
more
numbers up.
rateable.
Okay, makes sense,
But
yes.
honestly, I don't know how much the town gets out of that
I understand.
$112 million.
I get that.
Okay?
And Mayor, where does the deficit come in? You're saying
So
I think it was 3 million.
First of all, actually, Mr. Sikosi's number is too small regarding surplus, but I'd like to first say that this number, and calling it surplus, it's a play on words. You could call it surplus, but it's really reserves.
Okay.
It's not surplus, and the township is required to keep a certain amount of that in case of a natural disaster, like Sandy, where you're not able to raise tax. And when I say raise, you're not able to take taxes for a certain period of time. So we actually have reserves of $47 million, but that doesn't mean you can spend them. If you get down too low, then they downgrade your bond rating, and it costs millions in extra interest payments. So we were flat on taxes for, I believe, Mr. Quinlan said 3 years. When those budgets came up, I was criticized for voting against some of those budgets when they had a flat tax. And the reason I voted against it was because salaries and costs were all rising, but they were not raising taxes, but they were raising spending. And when that happens, you eat into those reserves.
But-
And if you eat into after 3 years, $90 million is the tax levy, $120 million budget, right? The major part of that is salaries. So let's call it 90 million in salaries.
I understand that.
3% per year is 2.7 million a year that you got to come up with when these union salary guides go up. So for 3 years, we were flat on tax, but the cost of the salaries was going up. And that means that you dip into those reserves, and in doing so, you risk your credit rating. Now we have two decisions, either cut costs or raise taxes. And I was sent here, and this council was sent here to cut costs, not to raise taxes. So that is the entire thing in a nutshell. I know it's awfully detailed, and I took up a good part of your time. So you can obviously have all your time back, if it pleases the chairman.
I have a question, however. You mentioned that the taxes were flat. You also mentioned that taxes hadn't gone up. But earlier in the night, you said the previous administration had raised taxes. And Mr.
First year,
Guzzi
7.
also mentioned that our ratables have gone up. And I know that your platform was no more building, but if our ratables have gone up, and I realize I'm a real estate agent. I realize we don't all want building. However, if I own the plot of land and I'm building whatever's allowed within the code on that land, I have every right to build on it that I'm permitted with. So to say that, wait a minute, let me finish.
Yeah.
I let you.
But no,
So to say that there's no, to build a platform on no more building, but then we're thrilled that we have increased ratables, everybody has to remember that.
Well, the ratables are not significant. Town value is $20 billion, $20 billion. So if you get an extra $10 million in ratables, it doesn't amount to anything significant in tax revenues, because the tax rate.
Right, but it was 128 million, and I realize that
Right.
that's still a small amount compared to 10 billion.
It's like a drop in the bucket of the levy.
But it's an increase, and honestly,
It does not
last
make up-
time I checked, because in being a real estate agent, I had to speak with the tax office about stuff for various clients, and a portion of our towns, property taxes went up. A portion of them actually decreased, and then some of them stayed the same. So it was
When you have a reval,
right, and I
the
understand.
amount of tax that you take is the same as before the reval. It's just you take it differently from different people.
I understand.
The $100 million in increased ratables is a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction, and it doesn't make up for 3% contract increases a year over 3 years. That's a 9% increase in expenses. So without a tax increase. So like I said, we're stuck with a hole. I don't want to raise taxes. The residents don't want to raise taxes. So we're looking to eliminate spending. Unnecessary spending.
Yeah, okay, we'll leave it at that. As far as the concerns from Jim and David regarding the buildings, and it's kind of been thrown around, and innuendos have been put out there that Jim's got something going on here. I don't believe any of you have things like that going on. So I will say they have been on the board longer than anybody else here. I'm sorry, Justin, sorry. However, if they're looking at reports, and they're both talking about engineers' reports and different issues with these buildings, I don't think anybody here is stupid enough to pay somebody $500,000 to side a building. I'll side the damn thing myself. But, or to paint it, even less. I'll get my 3-year-old grandsons to paint, for Christ's sake. However, we all know that these are way more than paint, and you're saying no, but I can't believe that anybody here, let alone an entire council prior to your coming in, was stupid enough to allow that. And I just feel that you may vote it down, but I think it's something that needs to be looked at. I mean, we all heard about the horrible things that have happened in Florida and around the country with buildings collapsing and with parking garages collapsing and bridges. We don't want that here. If there's a structural issue, especially with the parking garage, it needs to be addressed. As far as the other building, maybe not as quite as important, but,
Painting company, just so you understand, I know Councilman Quinlis cited this study that he saw. Painting companies don't do structural concrete work, they paint. It was a $500,000 contract for painting and fixing some stucco. So I know he believes that, yeah, but it was for painting. The contract was for painting.
I think
And
everybody
the
here-
contract was for vinyl siding.
okay. I think everybody here would love to see the studies if there are any others out there regarding that. And it was also brought up about the bid. I live downtown. I know the bid has been up and down over the years, but overall, they do a lot of events, and there's a lot going on downtown. Is it true, Councilman or Mayor, whoever, if you have the answer, I would love to hear from you, Councilman. Is it true that the bid employees haven't been paid? Somebody had mentioned that some of the bid employees, that the budget wasn't passed and they had not gotten their most recent paychecks. Is that true?
The director is like third in line behind you, and she can answer that question later.
Okay. I was concerned because that seems ridiculous that people may possibly have not gotten paid, and you're welcome. It's all good. Okay, that can wait. Okay. All right. I guess the last thing you had mentioned something about it. Ron Hubbard proclamation. Does anybody know anything about that?
I think we should defer to the business administrator.
Do you have any clue?
I wasn't aware of the proclamation.
Copy of it here.
Okay.
They were signing it.
Could we get a copy of that?
Well, we would sign a proclamation no matter what religion asked for a proclamation, whether they were Catholic, Protestant, Buddhist, Indian, whatever.
Fine. I'm just asking what it is.
It's a free, so if a governing body is asked to sign a proclamation for a particular religious group, we sign that proclamation.
Could you ask who asked to have that signed? Who brought it forth?
Yeah.
I'll defer to the business administrator because I have no idea who asked, but I'm assuming it was the Scientologists. Hang
I'm
on.
just curious.
It was the Church of Scientology that asked for it. And it's a common proclamation.
And this happens all the time.
Across towns all over the place. There's freedom of religion in the U.S.
Yeah, I
If it-
understand.
you
Okay,
know.
I had no idea what it entailed, so that's why I wanted to ask. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Debbie Kersey, 32 Bartine Street. I'm here to talk about the animal shelter. There's a lot of talk. We get the mayor's side, we get other people's side. Animals don't have a voice, and there's a bunch of us here tonight who want to be the voice for the animals. We had, I think, some good conversation outside as we were standing in the rain trying to stand up for the animals of Tom's River. And I would really ask you to not make any moves to change anything with the animal shelter, where the animals go, until you've had an opportunity to talk to all of the people, many of whom are involved in animal rescue and have been for a very long time. I have been working in the periphery of animal rescue. They know a lot and they can do a lot. And again, I told you that if the current team is able to demonstrate to you that they can run a clean, efficient shelter, why don't you just continue to build on that success instead of saying, you're terrible, you're awful, so we're going to give this up and we're going to give it to the county. I have different numbers than you, and I believe the county's euthanasia rate. Euthanasia is to relieve suffering. It's not euthanasia. Don't use a euphemism for killing animals. So I believe the kill rate is much higher than it was reported to you. So, you know, I don't know who has the facts. I just ask you to please keep the Toms River Animal Shelter open. Please be willing to work with us and all of the people who have offered to work with it. And keep that $1 million. There's a reason why somebody, you know, made that bequest in their will. It's because they have the faith in the people of this town and our ability to take care of our animals. So I just ask you to please, work with us and don't make any decisions. And I ask for transparency. Everybody has an agenda, and I don't really care about anybody's agenda. I don't like politics. This is about the animals, and they don't have a voice. So I need somebody, if you truly are trying to be transparent, then be transparent. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a question?
I live on Barteen Street. I have been seeing all kinds of...
Can you say that one more time? I didn't hear you.
Barteen Street.
Oh,
off Silver
Barteen.
Bay Road, okay? And there's all kinds of work going on with, I guess, sewers or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what these words are. Anyway, my street floods every time it rains, and we can't, my car is going to be ruined. So
Well, it's
I
not
would
on,
ask you to
that's a great
take
question.
look at that.
No, you don't even have to.
I don't
We,
belabor the point here, but please look at Silverton bigger than what you have been.
could I jump in on that, Nancy? Just so you know, we actually just commissioned a study. There was a 10-year road raising plan in place. I thought that was way, way too long for people to walk in knee-deep water. At one point in time, it gets very bad. At some point, someone had the brilliant idea of removing all the tidal gates. That's before I got on council. But we have CME, which is a very large, the largest civil engineering company in the state of New Jersey. They're going to conduct a study rather than us deciding willy-nilly about which road to raise and doing 1 or 2 a year for a decade. They're going to present solutions that would reduce flooding immediately and also rate each flooding road and prioritize what we should do first. And I've already committed to wanting to get all of these roads raised by the end of my first term, which is one of the reasons that we're looking at places like the parking lot, where we're spending $500,000 of bond money to paint when you could raise a road for $1 million. So I think road raisings are a big problem. Mean high tide at the Route 37 bridge is actually 6 inches higher today than it was in the 1980s. That combined with having old technology regarding tidal gates and things like that and subsidence, roads sinking, we have a big flooding problem. We've identified about 20 roads. I would just ask that Council President take a note of Barteen so that we can make sure that Barteen is on our list and that we look at Barteen.
And Joyce.
And Joyce is. I lived on Third for 15 years. So Joyce is on our list, and it comes up right from the stormwater drain. And again, someone had the bad idea that they didn't want to clean these valves, so they just removed them. And now when the tide goes up, the water comes right into the street. So we're going to be looking at these new tidal gates. I think they're made in Switzerland or something like that. And then you install them, and they're further back, and this is all part of the study. But I would hope the council would support that study and vote in favor of that. Maybe we could get it on the next council meeting.
Mr. Mayor, can I make a comment on that?
Yes, sir.
I represent a rather large group of people, and we have a lot of connections from the Utility and Transportation Contractors Association. There is an entity called the iBank. The iBank brings in money into the municipalities, the locals, the communities, and that money is sometimes 0% interest, and it's also sometimes granted. I intend to bring the president of that group and the CEO of our UTCA down to sit with the mayor and come up with some funding sources for some of this stuff, because it is at 0 to 1% interest and also grant money. So that's something that we're going to do in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to schedule something with the mayor's office and bring somebody down for that.
Thank you, Councilman.
Julie Adamek, 69 Cedar Grove Road. Well, I'm here again today to talk about the animal shelter again, of course. And I want to emphasize to people that have not been to the animal shelter that, or maybe been listening on YouTube, that the shelter has actually been grossly understaffed. And I compare that to when I volunteered at the old shelter on Whitesville Road and the number of animal control officers that they had at a smaller building, fewer animals compared to the larger, beautiful facility that we have now, but having had many more animals. Despite that, I will tell you that contrary to the mayor's description of the conditions at the animal shelter, I had adopted 2 cats just over a year ago. I had been at the shelter 4 times. The shelter was very clean. The animals' covers were clean. They had fresh water. They had food in their cages. The animals were content. There was a cat in the lobby that was just laying and sleeping in his cat bed. The cat, one of the cats I adopted was just meandering around, looking, you know, and got up on the table and was just munching on some food. The animals were well taken care of, and I had no concerns. There was nothing that I saw when I was there the 4 times that put any red lights or any thing suspicious that I saw when I was at that shelter. So I want everybody to know that. As for the employees that they have there are very dedicated to those animals. They are definitely animal advocates. So it's really disheartening to hear people bashing these employees, bashing the shelter. The reality is it's not the problem of the shelter, staff, and how it was being run. It's the township itself that didn't give these employees the resources they needed. They didn't even have a sign on Oak Avenue, and I brought that up at the February 14th meeting, and I don't know if that's been corrected yet. But they didn't have a sign. They didn't have, obviously, if you're understaffed, you're not going to be able to focus on posting pictures of the animals as if you had the volunteers and you had the support staff to do that. So it's a good thing what's happening, but instead of moving ahead to try to have the county take this over, pause a minute. Let these changes set in. Start accepting the animals again. Do not send them over to the county because in reality, the euthanasia rate is higher at the county. The numbers have been published. They are much higher at the county level. So let Toms River take care of their animals. We need these animal control officers. There's a lot of situations in town where the animal control officers need to be called out to Walmart if there's an animal running at large. That's not the police department's responsibility. But if you don't have animal control, that's what's going to happen. I think that Jillian Messina made a great suggestion as far as bringing the students in, as far as helping with the social media. They're excellent with social media, and some of the rescues do that. They accept students to help with the animals with shelters, and some of the high schools have animal clubs, you know, based right at the high school. So you could tap into into those resources. So that's all I have to say about the animal shelter. But please do not close it down. Pause and don't be so impulsive. It just seems that decisions are just being made impulsively, in a rash manner. There's no thought process, and it's just creating chaos. It's creating a lot of anger in the communities, anger that we have never had before. So that's all I have to say about that. Second of all, Edkin Avenue and Charles Drive in Toms River need to be repaved badly. Excuse me?
What were the streets? What were the names of the streets again?
Edkin Avenue, EDKEN Avenue, and Charles Drive in Toms River. They've had utility work probably 10 to 15 years ago and never been paved, and they have potholes continually.
I'd also like to ask the council to support an ordinance, and I've said this before, that would require if a utility company opens up a road that is 5 years or less, that they are then required to pave the entire road. Or we could also look into just requiring it when they open up any road. It would all be up to the council's pleasure, but it would be a good idea, and it would take a big burden off of our township with regards to how much capital we use for paving. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Council President, Council. My name is Maren Bennett. I'm the Executive Director for the Toms River.
Ma'am, just one second. Folks in the back, can you hear? No? Could you take the microphone?
All right, there we
you
go.
All right.
All right, I'll voice it up. Good evening. My name is Maren Bennett. I'm the Executive Director for the Toms River Development Corporation. I just wanted to remind everyone that we'll have the Irish Festival down on Washington Street this Saturday from 12 to 6. Also, we'll be looking for volunteers throughout our season. If anyone wants to volunteer, they can go to downtowntomsriver.com and click on the application that says how to become involved. Also, on the desk, I have a list of all our events, and if you guys have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Phil, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. Phil Brilliant, 79 Holly Tree Lane. First, on the January 18th, 2024 special meeting minutes that was approved on February 14th, the minutes say that Councilman Loebman voted yes on the minutes. On January 18th, am I right one? The special meeting, were you at that meeting? It's because it says you were absent.
January 18th was the one we did on Zoom?
No, that was January 31st, though, wasn't it? It's for some reason it says yes, and then it says absent on. So just if you can look into that, just to correct that. Yeah. And then the other thing too is this is the agenda, the minutes from January 31st, and it has all the comments that were provided via email to the clerk prior to, but we never really discussed that topic. Just a comment. I didn't know if that might be better suited on the February 14th minutes. Just throw that out there because it kind of makes it look like there was a comment period, public comment period, and there wasn't. Just a comment to consider, if you'd like to. Just to that. And then also, the recordings for January 18th, 31st, and February 14th, they're not up on the YouTube page. Will they be returned?
Council President, for the IT guys.
Oh, no, I know. I was looking at you because you happen to be sitting over there. I'm looking there. Yeah, that's fine.
We'll look into it.
Yeah, look into it.
And
That's fine.
anybody that wants anything can ask for it, right?
Yes. So, yeah,
I've
they're
been-
just not up there, so if they're going to be put back up
Phil,
there.
just one second. People have asked me, and I referred them that they can get a CD copy of any of the meetings.
Okay.
Okay?
And I will tell you, my computer doesn't have a CD burner or CD player, so, but
Maybe we
but
put
if
it
it's
on
up
a
there, that's
put it
fine.
on a key.
I'll put it on a key. Thank you. That's good. Mr. Nivison, sorry. At the January 18th meeting, when the MCO was voted on, the ordinance was gotten rid of, you had mentioned there's going to be a task force put together to review what was done, what will be done. Has that been put together yet?
It hasn't.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
still-
Okay,
it's
just a
in the-
reminder.
It's in the works.
Okay, just a reminder. And then tonight, you talked about when they were talking about the building not being sided and everything, that I think the mayor had said they were going to use some Parks and Rec people they'll buy the material and then paint it. And then you had made a comment it's going to be rebid. I just made a note. Which one will it be?
No, our people, we have people that do side our buildings. We have a lot of smaller buildings around, and the backside of Shogun is within their wheelhouse based on what the foreman said. He said it would cost about $8,000 for the vinyl, and believes that that's within their wheelhouse. So it is not the intention of the administration to rebid the Shogun. We've also met with the owner of the Shogun restaurant, and he's on board. When when he heard what the costs were, he was very shocked. And the lease is about $8,000 a month, so for us to spend $500,000 to side a building that he leases for $8,000 a month, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
It was something that was said, so I wrote it down. And just, looking at
I
those.
probably should have said reallocate the work instead
Okay.
of rebid. Yeah.
No problem. Okay. I just want to clarify for my notes. And then the ordinances that got rid of the vehicles and the siding, and there was one more, which was the parking lot, made a comment that they exceeded the estimates of the engineer. I can't remember exactly what it said, but they're from last year. And my only comment, doing a lot of public bidding, are two things. One, that it would have exceeded the estimate prior, which would have been provided in some kind of bid package. So we should look at that and make sure that allows us to go back to them and tell them, even though they won the bid, they no longer get the bid, because the last thing we want to do is have more lawsuits. And then the other thing too is the estimate may seem high, but in most municipal bidding, the prevailing
I understand that.
wage ends up ballooning. But we could,
No,
what we
I
could do
get
for
it.
$5,000 comes out to $50,000.
No, I
So
get
just
it.
saying that.
I get the prevailing wage thing, and it's big. It's a big number, but even with prevailing wage, you have to admit painting a parking lot for $500,000 is a lot of money. So
The difficult part, though, was
I'd
we,
rather raise a road.
Okay. The difficult part, though, was because the agenda came out at 2:05 today, the revised agenda. The original one was at 9 o'clock this morning, the revised one. We had no time to Oprah those things, to actually look at it. So if it's possible to get the agendas out like a little earlier, 48 hours or whatever it might be, it would help people come in here with some knowledge of what is on the ordinance. So we can look at those. Just saying, it makes it a little easier. I have one more thing.
Do you need a little more time? Go
I
ahead.
just need a little more time, okay? I need 1 minute. All I wanted to say was that I am happy to say that the residents will be presenting on Monday petitions of over 3,079. We're still going. We still want to get 5,000, which will send the ordinance that did cut the police force back to this council. And we'll be dropping that on Monday to the clerk. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, my name's Anthony DeVecca. I live at 60 Main Street, Toms River. I have a couple different points to cover here, but let's see. You guys talk a lot about budget cuts and balancing the budget and not wanting to raise taxes. There's a reason I live here in Toms River, and it's not because I moved here 30 years ago. It's not because I own a house for the last 15 years, but because it's a safe town. And the township does a good job with providing recreation and a safe place to live. If I was really worried about, paying less money for where I live, I'd move to a lesser area. But I believe our rates and people pay to live here because of what the town offers, not because of how low the taxes are. There's a lot of low tax areas that you could move to that are nowhere as nearly as nice as this town. And I think you'll see a lot of people leave if you start cutting into things that are offered. I understand that you want to keep your people happy, your constituents, people that vote for you, that you want to keep your, not raise taxes, but I think eventually it's inevitable because the prices of everything's going up with inflation. And I'd hate to see the quality of life in town go down because you're trying to not cut into a potential, your monetary surplus. I don't want to see, there's a lot of ways to keep the town running without, lessering the safety of the community. Get a lot of, you see headline news all over the country that, police forces are mismanaged and there's riots in the streets and there's civil unrest. You think what you guys saw at the last meeting was civil unrest? Wait until someone something really bad happens and the township's on the hook for liability. But aside from that, I have some suggestions for the shelter. First of all, the Boy Scouts, they have an Eagle Scout project. Every time a Boy Scout becomes an Eagle, having a Boy Scouts get involved with trying to help promote social media. I donate money to rescues myself. I never even knew that the township had a shelter.
Neither did a lot of folks.
There's no presence on social media. I follow Toms River Township government on Instagram and Facebook, and I see nothing posted about the shelter, animals up for adoption, anything like that. I believe getting people involved. I think some of that $1 million that was donated, I think some of that would be well used to help promote some of the advertise the shelter a little bit, because like I said, I own a rescue animal and I donate to rescues, and I had no idea that the township even had a shelter.
So do you mind if I jump in? So do I. I have a rescue, and I actually, it's operable. I was ordering signs for the shelter, and we're looking at doing logo designs. Short term, we were going to try to have the road department put up signs. You're right, the township could have done a lot better in the past, with promoting adoptions and things like that.
I mean, there's social media posts all over the place from the township. I mean, I don't think it should cost that much.
It started, actually, if you go on the township social media page, shortly after we took over, we were posting, and it was my understanding that the prior administration stopped the folks at the animal shelter from posting, which I thought was probably not such a great idea. It's a terrible idea. As for your comments on the police, we all support the police. We all want to live in a safe community. We also support EMS, and we also need to make sure that people get picked up by ambulances, and sometimes choices are tough.
Can I ask you a question?
It came from retirements, just so you know. The two folks, no one was fired. Two folks retired, and it was enough money to pay for 8 EMTs to be on an ambulance 24 hours a day. So it was a trade-off, but I don't believe that's impacting public safety. I think it's improving it.
I have a question. Who up here in front of me has qualifications or experience or is qualified in law enforcement administration structure? Nobody. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I
Councilman
don't-
Lim is a
I don't-
police officer.
That has no bearing on this conversation today.
It doesn't.
No, but it kind of does though,
Well,
because
wait after the meeting, I'll talk to you one-on-one if you want me to. hear
sure.
your side.
I'd like to address everyone though.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying that I think it's in the best interest of the public to allow the professionals that are qualified to make decisions that could impact the safety of the general public. That's all.
He put his hand up? His time. Oh, there's 5 minutes left. Excuse me, clerk, did you signal 5 minutes? Not yet? Okay. All right. Okay, ma'am, thank you.
I'll be quick.
Press on.
Okay, Irene Watson, Messenger Street. Issue was being taken with the letter Mayor Roderick sent out regarding the police department. Of course, there was a monumental issue with the contents of the letter, but there was also an issue with the use of the town seal on the letter paper, the envelope, and the postage. A complaint regarding this was stated at the February 14th meeting, and of course on Facebook, that the mayor did not have the right to use the seal, the paper, etc. I, for one, appreciated receiving the letter regardless of the content. I do not recall receiving a letter from any previous mayor giving the thorough rundown of any proposal or ordinance. In general, the public only receives information from the agenda, which is put out the day before. I'm not sure what happened about yesterday's agenda, but anyway. And the proposal or ordinance is written in almost cryptic language that to most, or at least to me, are unsure of what the details are. If Mayor Roderick stuck with the past practices, this is what you should have read on January 30th regarding the police. Ordinance of the Township Council Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending the supplemental ordinance 50-30B, 50-3G, and 50-3R of the Township Code to revise the roster of positions written within the Department of Law Enforcement. The mayor's letter gave people sufficient time to gather their facts, to support their argument for or against, and even start a petition. There's only one weekly newspaper, the Toms River Times, and also their Toms River Online, which covers events quite objectively. Unfortunately, the Toms River Times has to be picked up in person at the library and a number of other places, and the news usually covers the news that has already occurred. The Observer no longer exists, which residents received once a week with the ShopRite circular, but it kept residents abreast of the happenings in the town. Therefore, a letter from the mayor or town council should be mandatory with any significant ordinance. I would gladly spend my tax dollars on an informative letter from the mayor. So if the letters of this type are legal, keep them coming. If not, drawing up an ordinance to keep them coming. Thank you.
Do you mind if I touch on that? The township did pay for the letter. It is in our budget. As you know, the prior mayor budgeted for those newspapers, which we were spending, if you can believe it, $27,000 each just in printing. So something like that should really only cost $3,000 or $4,000 based on, I do mail in my own campaigns. So it was very expensive. So there's a tremendous amount of money budgeted for reaching out to the public. We're going to use a lot less of it than what was budgeted for, but we're going to be more communicative with the public. That's why it didn't have a paid for, and that's why it had the township seal. I believe there was an Oprah put in for the cost of the letter and asked for an invoice, but invoices, as you know, are generated in some cases months later. So when the township replied, no record existed, there was no record. I still don't think we've been invoiced yet. So when we're invoiced, it'll be available for the public as to the cost. And thank you for your kind words. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I want to put that microphone back on the stand, or you can hold it in your hand, either one.
Hi, I'm Bob Watts, and I live on Messenger Street. It's a little late coming, but first of all, congratulations to the mayor and the council on the past election. And you should be proud of yourselves, and the town should be proud of you as well. I applaud your willingness to immediately take on tough issues that have been avoided in the past. You've been left in a tough spot of trying to allocate expenses to serve critical needs without affecting the Toms River credit standing. I agree with your plan and support your efforts to improve ambulatory services in Ortley without increasing operating costs. Regarding communications, I was very happy that you provided financial background necessary to understand the funding for your Ortley plan. Having never seen any mayoral communication supporting a point of view or a plan of action, I was very appreciative. However, the information provided does expose to everyone the financial challenges you're going to be facing, driven by past union contracts regarding salaries, span of control, promotion possibilities, and more. Hopefully others will appreciate these challenges as well. Now, I'm from the corporate side. I didn't work for city, state, or federal government. But what I'm going to tell you, what I'm going to read to you, is a recognized point of view. This happens to come from an Inc. article. Based on numerous academic studies that have been researched on this topic, the optimum number of direct reports for any manager should be the lucky number 7, plus or minus a few. There are other factors that can influence the end decision. McKinsey recommends from the CEO down, the CEO no more than 3 direct reports supervisory. And it goes down to lower ranking supervisors to a count of 15. So it would appear that our current police department ratios, to say the least, are a little out of whack and have no sense to them that I can see. And by the way, the contract issue is going to be on everything, not just police department, but employees. Nobody wants to recognize that the economy's not good, inflation's been up, and the people who suffer are the people trying to cover the costs. And I do not agree with dipping into lowering the reserve to cover someone's desire to pay people more money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Sir, you have to bring back the microphone.
Sorry?
You gotta
I will. But I'll wait till I give this to you first.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Hold it.
You're on.
Okay.
You're live.
Hello? Yes, the dreaded shelter.
No,
Here
not
to
dreaded.
talk about.
Not dreaded.
I'm
Go-
coming in from a different angle. You made a statement about going backwards. You are not to be blamed for the past of the shelter because you weren't a mayor then. And you're right, it was mishandled, not by the employees, because their hands were tied. It was mishandled by who was assigned to oversee the shelter. When you're more interested in photo ops, and I have a right to say that because I stood in this spot for 12 years. This group, I'm here to represent Save Rescue Shelter for the shelter. We started 25 years ago. We worked at the Toms River shelter. No one knew that shelter existed. We put that shelter on a map. The statistics are you are responsible for the community, correct? Animals are part of the community. If you look it up, it will tell you that. You are responsible for, that shelter is responsible for 40 miles and 10 areas. It's been running with 2 ACOs. By the way, one of those ACOs is the most compassionate, has gone above and beyond, because what you might not realize is your town is full of rescues, good people. We spend our own money, we run on donations. This town has never given us anything. But yet we were out there. You know how many animals we got adopted out of Toms River Shelter? Because we were allowed to take them off premises to PetSmart on Route 70. And we adopted them out, screened the people, adopted them out, and the money went to the township. We paid for spaying and neutering in a town I'm old now, and I'm back up here again. There's no TNR program. You know the town has grown terribly. Do you realize that this is a resort town? So you have people that come down, rent for the summer, and leave the animal. They get their kids an animal, and then they leave them abandoned in the house. Who gets that call? When you're responsible for 40 miles in 10 areas, it's Toms River Shelter. Now listen, if you've got a game plan to have Ocean County take it over, or Joe Schmo, or Joe Fachengich, I don't care. What I care about is that shelter is needed. You made a statement that, and I don't mean to point, I'm
No, it's
Italian,
okay.
I can't help it.
It's okay. It was never planned to close it.
Well,
and there were-
contrary to what is said, I'm sorry, Mr.
Oh, it's
Mayor,
okay.
but I'm
It's your
limited,
time.
I just want to get it out. So, you spend one day on the phone, like these rescues do. We're overloaded with animal control in this town. You have citizens that are paying out of their own pocket to spay and neuter, to keep the animal control down, the animals down, and all they ask for is a trap. Or you have one clinic, East Coast Spade Clinic. You have a state-of-the-art facility. That facility was built because finally, after mayor in the community, it was recognized that you need a shelter in this town. This ain't no rinky-dink town. This is a huge town. And you also made a statement about senior citizens. I live in the land of the old and the slow. You're right. You have a lot of senior citizens. You want to hear the phone calls all day long? My mother died. I can't take her cat. My father's in a nursing home. I got 2 big dogs. I can't, And who do you think takes them? We do. The rescues do. Tom's River tries. They did. But again, you could have been the hero. You should be the hero in this town. Don't shut it down.
I support trap, neuter, and release. I do.
But I'm just.
So, but that's a whole other, you brought up 2 things,
Yeah.
right? And the rumor about the shelter closing is just that. It's a rumor propagated by.
Pretty strong rumor, Mayor.
Right, well, there are some very, very talented political people who have been promoting this rumor on various statewide social media outlets or pages where people who are very passionate, like yourself, and folks who would come from whole other townships or other areas of the state because they're so passionate about what they do.
We're based in Tom's River.
Well, no, but I mean, there are people here that are from everywhere, and it's a lie. There was never any intent. All of my communications about this are open to email.
And what about your
open to
ACOs?
Oprah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
If Fluffy gets loose out of the yard, front door, who they gonna call? Not Ghostbusters. You have no ACOs. Where's your ACOs?
We have 4.
Where's
but-
4?
No, we have 4 animal control officers.
Still?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge, based on the spreadsheets.
Well, you got some good ACOs.
But the RFP, which was brought up,
Yeah.
is if those ACOs were to leave with the county and were to continue to, let's say, work in this shelter, we would have to have animal control for the town, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, you put out the RFP, that doesn't mean we have to go with it, but it would allow, there are the same people respond, the Humane Society with the popcorn. Those are the people who respond, and there's no reason to not put it out, right? It's just a request for proposals.
You're gonna keep your ACOs?
If they go to the county, if we go to the county,
Will the county hire them?
Gary Quinn just told the newspaper, told Asbury Park Press that he would look to keep the staff, that it's hard to find staff.
You have one of the ACOs that devoted his life to this town. He's one of the best.
Right.
Any town would be proud to have him.
All right, I think we're going to have to end this conversation. We've gone
I
beyond the 5
appreciate
minutes.
that. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Thank you.
for
Excuse me,
your
ma'am.
comments.
Ma'am, can I have your name and address for the record, please? Your name for the record, please? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Michael Cohen. I live on Stark Road. The information that I'm about to relate to you about the animal shelter was obtained through Oprah requests, okay? So if we want to be data-driven, let's be data-driven. So in 2023, the entire time, in the Toms River Animal Shelter, intake of cats was 217. Intake of dogs was 238. Total euthanasia stats were 28 of both in the entire year. That equates to a 6.15 euthanasia rate for the Toms River Animal Shelter in 2023. Now, for the Ocean County Animal Shelter in 2023, they had 1,044 cats impounded, and 528 dogs impounded. The amount of cats that were euthanized were 318, and the amount of dogs was 18. That equates to a 21.37 euthanasia rate for the Ocean County Animal Shelter. So if anybody thinks that dogs and cats are going to be safer at the Ocean County Shelter, you may want to look at the stats. No, I'm not done. Now, the Ocean County Animal Shelter also only takes cats and dogs, whereas the Toms River Animal Shelter takes wildlife, exotic animals. Today, we just took an abandoned snake in. That snake would have nowhere to go. We have swans. We've had everything you can imagine. Guinea pigs, anything.
A pig.
Anything like that would have nowhere to go if the Ocean County Animal Shelter takes over our shelter. Now, a little bit about me. In 2021, in September, I began volunteering at the Toms River Animal Shelter. In September 2022, I was hired to be the cat kennel aide, and at that time, we had 2 ACOs and 2 part-timers. I came on as another part-timer at minimum wage. I am still there as a part-timer at minimum wage. I'm not earning a lot of money there. I'm there because I love my job, and it's important what we do. And that's all I wanted to say. I'm not interested in hearing anything.
Thank you. Before you speak, I want to make sure, have all people that want to come up here for the first time spoken? Have you been up here before yet, ma'am? Okay, please come forward. You can pull it right out of that holder, ma'am.
I think I got it. Amy Worst. I'm from Kilcormick Street. I've been in this town for...
I don't think the back's going to be able to hear you. Thank you.
My name is Amy Worst. I am from Kilcormick Street. I've been in this town for well over 40 years since I was a small child. I have been a volunteer at the animal shelter for close to 9 years now. A lot of the things I was going to say were already said by Mike or Linda, and I appreciate that. I was able to speak with the mayor out front a little bit. I did want to correct one thing that he said earlier. He did say that hours there were always by appointment. I don't know if you meant to say that, but that is incorrect. As we spoke about outside, well, yes, it was, yes.
But after COVID, it was never reopened, right?
That is also correct. That's what we spoke about.
And that's what I meant. And
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was on record, that you had said always, because that was confusing to me, since when I started there, I volunteered Saturdays and Sundays from 1 to 4 p.m. and I gave tours. So as long as you corrected yourself, that's great. Also wanted to comment how for up until last year, there were only 2 animal control officers managing all the animal care needs in this whole town. And we finally got a little bit more help. But rather than try to outsource and whatever that is supposed to mean, because the county is not going to take our ACOs, maybe you should continue to build on the successes that have been occurring with the adoption. And maybe some more staff. We could really use help. Or volunteers. I used to train dog volunteers there. I haven't seen a new volunteer probably since before COVID. So I'm losing track of what I wanted to say, but that's about it. I just want you to consider building on successes that you've already made. Don't make any huge changes to that shelter right now. The animal control officers are amazing and really should. That was the other thing. Please stop portraying them as incompetent and uncooperative and uncaring, because those ACOs are the most amazing people I've ever met. I'm honored to be with them. That's it.
Can I just ask you something, Miss? My wife, who's sitting in the back, put in an application to be a volunteer weeks ago, and she hasn't heard back. And she's really anxious.
That would be,
So
up to the-
who do we talk to? Who does she talk to?
right now.
She did get fingerprinted. Okay.
I can't speak to that because,
Volunteers have to be fingerprinted?
In case she tries to steal an animal. We have plenty now.
Maybe we should get rid of the fingerprinting.
we
Oh, my goodness.
We welcome new volunteers and.
Whose idea was that? Thank you.
Can I just ask a question on that? It was brought up that possibly Boy Scouts and other groups could come in on a volunteer basis. Would they need to be fingerprinted also? I'm just asking, I don't know the answer to that. Can anybody educate me on
If
that?
they're underage, they're definitely not fingerprinted.
Excuse me? I'm sorry.
If you're underage, they're not going to be fingerprinted, no.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Crystal Hendricks. I live at 536 Skylark Drive, and I have just a couple of things to address. First of all,
Speak into the mic, please.
yes, sorry. Is that better? Okay. First of all, I'd like to know what animals have been at the shelter for multiple years that you claim, other than possibly the house cats later.
Well, there's a spreadsheet that Marta gave me.
Okay.
So I have it, but I don't have it committed to memory.
Right.
But I did share it with people in the press and
Okay, because
shared it with
that's
people.
not a valid fact. It's not true. It's not. Okay. Anyway, I'll move on. In a lot of public articles recently, there have been comments made or statements that say the shelter was in poor condition when you took office, and that is a severely misguided and hurtful statement. I've personally witnessed several dozen members of the public compliment our facility and say it is one of the cleanest shelters they've ever visited, how beautiful it is and how nice the staff members are, and that they're surprised they didn't know about it. If you saw anything that was in poor condition, as you claim, it's due to the fact that the shelter has been ignored by past administration, as I've said, and was drastically understaffed for nearly 2 years with only one part-time kennel aide to take care of the dogs, which was upwards of 20 at one point. So when you saw excrement in their cages, as you quoted in an article, the afternoon that you visited, that part-time kennel aide was long clocked out and there was no one specifically there to take care of the dogs. This isn't to portray that they're not cared about as animals and that we don't care about them, but simply there are not enough people employed to care for the amount of animals that we can potentially facilitate, which was around 21 when you visited. We can hold about 26, and those are including the cages that are designated for the K-9 police officers and the one that was damaged. Our employees were currently here because of the animals, not just a paycheck. They've had their hands tied behind their backs, not being allowed to share or expose our adoptable animals, and failing to figure out how to increase veterinary services so dogs and cats could maybe become adoptable quicker instead of waiting, give or take 6 months to be fixed, leading to the long-term residents that you are complaining about. Focus has not been given to efforts and ideas that volunteers and staff often throw out as ideas and want to improve the shelter, and they're often ignored and just buried like they don't matter. We don't euthanize for space, as Ware County does when they're out of room. They send their oldest dogs or whoever to the euthanasia floor. They're pleading for open kennels. They're full, and I would just really like to know how you can possibly justify sending more animals there. And to just finish, our animal control officers in this town, they're extremely dedicated and hardworking, knowledgeable, and vital parts of our community. They're there every time someone calls. And that's all.
Just 1 minute. Is there anybody in line that has not had a chance to speak yet? Because when we hit 90 minutes, you have not? Okay, press on.
Kathy Lazaro, 11 Fair Acres Drive. First of all, I'm here because not one council person up here wasn't here when I started. As Linda stated before from SAVE, over 15 years ago, this town was in big trouble with an animal shelter down on Whitesville Road. If you went down there, the wires were hanging out of the ceiling. I felt every time I went down there to donate stuff for the animals, that the conditions that the volunteers, we had one animal full-time, Helen, who's now retired, God bless her, and we had Carmine, who used to go out as a part-timer. That shelter was deplorable. It was clean as hell with bleach, but the animals suffered, the people suffered who volunteered there, okay? It took numerous mayors, Mayor Brush, who tried to pass it, but you see, it was a full Republican council. And we know Greg McGuckin, as he stated, that they don't vote the animals. So they had to have a voice. And I got involved too because to push that. I had to fight Chief Mastronati back then because he did not want the animal shelter close to the police station. He would say it would interfere with the thing. We would go and find sites. It wasn't good enough. Finally, we all came to an agreement to get it done, and it got done in Toms River. That shelter should have been here, and it should stay where it is, because those animals deserve it. As taxpayers, and I did see we're getting possibly $1 million for the shelter or whatever. I don't believe the county should. As Linda stated, a lot of rescues in this town that saved this town from animals, okay? I rescued animals. I rescue them all the time. I don't shop, I adopt. So the problem we have here is that too many zeros out there are trying to make you not look like a hero. So I would just like you, Mayor Roderick, to tell me tonight that that shelter right now is not closing.
The shelter, the intent was never to shut the shelter.
Right.
The intent was to get animals adopted and to make sure that that it's being run well. And the conversations with the county are ongoing, and if the county were to run it, I don't see how that would be any different.
Right.
And I the only thing that I would, if I may, wouldn't mind addressing the cat number that was just given before. The county accepts 32 municipalities worth of feral cats.
Right.
So when you see this cat number of 300, it would be like them taking in 10 feral cats a year from each municipality, and that skews their number on cats. But if you look at the dog number, and I know I don't want to make it as a cat and dog thing,
Of course.
but it's what's adoptable and what's not adoptable,
But-
right? I personally support trap, neuter, and release, but obviously it's difficult for them to handle that many feral
I
cats.
also agreed with the gentleman earlier who said the shelter really doesn't advertise or promote it years for years. A lot of people do go to SAVE. I know I don't have a cat, but I give to them because of the fact I know what those people do. Now, I just came on a very important note, didn't even get my hair done to come here to ask this question, okay? This is still freedom of speech, correct? 3 busloads of illegals, or I'm sorry, immigrants, were dropped off at Motel 6 today.
Really?
Yes. Yep. Now, I think the animals think that could be, but
Where did they come from?
I don't think they're here for a soccer match, to tell you the truth.
Well, certainly,
And I don't think they're here for Little League Baseball.
we have to figure out who sent them
Maybe
here.
we should call Governor Smurfy, and maybe he has an answer why they're here. I don't know, but it's very upsetting when you have homeless people here in this town, or people losing their homes, or people being evicted, or foreclosures, that people need help. And I understand what taxpayers, it's spread upon. But when I was on Route 30, I wanted to make sure I seen it, okay? I know I'm not too old, but the point is that 3 busloads at Motel 6. So does that mean the other motels now are going to be picking them up too? Or having them dropped off here?
Well, I'm seeing this like on this Facebook page. Councilwoman O'Toole showed it to me.
That's not Roderick Watch, is it? Okay.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I see
I'm not trying to be funny.
No, she's not. I'm seeing two buses, I'm not seeing any people. I haven't heard of this reported on any news network.
Well, could you look into it then?
If this is real, we will address it. It's very possible that it's
Okay.
very similar to the
Right.
post about the animal shelter being closed, that it's really
Yes,
just a...
But you know what? I wanted to make sure I seen the buses. Like, I can't hear too good, but I could still see.
But the thing is, well, let's find out, but a bus...
Okay, so
an empty
I'll say
bus
it
at a
was
hotel
rumored
doesn't...
that I seen it, right? Would that be fair?
Let's look into it.
Let's look into it, but it's very possible that this is a bus of seniors on their way to Atlantic City. I mean, we don't know. It's just, there's a picture here.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Like
But we'll
all the
look into it.
families coming across the border.
Excuse me, the time limit is up. Please, move on.
Council President,
We got them, yes.
5 minutes.
We have 5 minutes left. Please let the next gentleman
Yes,
speak.
I'm sorry,
He has
Mr.
an
Holt
turn.
says he has some
I'm finished.
information.
Thank you. Sir,
Go ahead.
you're going to be the last speaker, okay?
Paul Hulse, Just Believe. I just want to let you guys know that's a false accusation. There is nobody getting dropped off here from any place, anywhere. Just so you know.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
This is totally out of left field. I'm Sal Fiore. I'm a Township resident, 1901 Merrimack. This is my business partner, Jesse. Your address, I guess?
Hi, I'm from Island Heights. I used to be a Towns River resident, but
We have a business. It's a party bike business, and I'm just looking for guidance from the council, maybe the mayor, on who to talk to on getting approval or some time allotted next council meeting to maybe make a presentation on this party bike concept. It's a two-sided 15-person party bike that drives down, going to different locations, bars, restaurants. We're looking to get approval in Toms River, mainly in Ortley. I've spoken to Councilman Lamb about this. We're trying to go
Sounds
from
like a cool
Seaside,
idea.
to Ortley, and then hopefully into Lavalette. But I just didn't know how to go about it. I'm sorry if this is out of left field.
You can come in and meet with us. If you,
Okay.
if you email Grace Piscopo, gpiscopo at Toms River Township, she'll set up a meeting, you can, and we'll meet, and you can
Can I-
tell us all about
okay,
it.
Yeah, I'm sorry to take the time or whatever.
No, this
but
is what it's for,
Didn't know,
right?
didn't know how to go about
How
it.
many bikes do you have, by the way?
We have three bikes. We're currently in Beach Haven, we're in Asbury Park, and Seaside. We're trying to expand on that. I know there's a lot of talk about the development of the downtown area. I hope to be a part of that in the future. We're also looking to go into Ortley, as I stated. But I was just looking for guidance, and if I could take that email. Is that good?
When are you looking to operate? What time, this year coming up, or?
Yeah, we're trying to look to operate as soon as possible this year coming up for the upcoming summer season. So
It's going to be basically for rentals, they can rent it for groups?
yeah,
or-
so people can pay, and it's a guided tour. People have fun, hang out, trying to be a little more lighthearted here, and we're just looking for hopefully go through the proper approval and channel to get us approved.
I have my card here.
Thank you.
thank you, everyone.
How much time do we have left?
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay, we have 2 minutes and 30 seconds, ma'am, you're on.
Dana Tormola, Messenger Street. Being the mayor spoke for 16 minutes while people were talking, I feel that we should have 16 extra minutes added onto the time. Briefly touching on the animal thing, there is a bid on the township website for the animal shelter. So if the town decides to give it to the county, seems to be the big thing, if the town. If they don't, then what happens? My bigger question right now is the fact that the meetings from the special meetings from January 18th and February 14th, under the code, the township code, special meetings, the mayor may, and upon written request of 4 council persons, shall call a special meeting of the council. In the call, he or she shall designate the purpose of the special meeting, and no other business shall be considered. Well, I Oprah'd, as many other people have in the past few weeks. If there was any written request from the council to the mayor, from council president to the council, from the mayor to the council, there's no written request of those special meetings, none. So that violates the township code right then and there. The fact is, the things that were supposed to be called on that meeting, everything was spoken about. Everything was put forward. So if there's no written records, I'm sorry I'm bothering you. If there's no written records, how do those meetings count for anything? And how does anything that got voted on have any bearing on where we are right now? Because they shouldn't count.
Mr. Molina, can you please explain the township ordinance for Mr. Mullen and what it actually provides for?
Sure. So the Township Code section that deals with special meetings allows for special meetings in two scenarios. One is on the written request of 4 council members. In that case, the mayor would be obligated to call a special meeting. However, the provision also says that the mayor may call a special meeting in other circumstances, and that's the provision that those meetings were held under. There's no specific requirement in that scenario for a written request.
Thank you. It's always nice to have a lawyer clarify things.
Sir, you are the last speaker of the evening, so welcome.
Carlos Amonsar, Winningham. First and foremost, guys, I keep saying I like all you guys. I want to see the difference. I want to see the argument. But at the same time, I keep saying I'm a special ed guy where, in reality, this is the Jersey Shore show. All brand new. We should have our own show right here. Because we are not getting along. We are not making the right decisions. And most importantly, we are not sitting down to communicate one another. Because, President, I respect you a lot. Councilmen, I respect you guys a lot. As a young buck, compared to everybody in here, as the youngest guy in the room, calling you guys kids, playing around with our future, this is, it's no. Last meeting I asked if we could start sitting down. I will pay for this. I will work to pay for that meeting so we can communicate and really listen to our town. Sir, I've been to your office 3 times. I have left my business card 3 times. So far, I've been around to many different townships, and I have sit down with many different mayors. I haven't been able to sit down with my mayor or my business administrator. I would like to sit down with the president, mayor, and a few of you guys that are free to willing to listen. One, to my business, but most importantly, I want to sit down with you guys and the leaders of my community. Because believe it or not, these people that are speaking in the back, making this noise that you guys don't want to hear it, are also the leader just like you guys. And we need to start working together to improve together. Because we should be working on bigger stuff in our town than all this little nonsense noise that if we work together and come to a common ground, we don't even gotta waste all this minute. But because we can't put our pants together and grow up, this is what we have. So I am begging you guys, let's sit down, let's work it out. Sir, I know you got a lot of people coming after you and stabbing you, but guess what? I've been in your shoes, and you know what I did? I took a round table, and all my enemies, I set them in that round table, and today we are friends, and we work for our community together. So I am begging you, let me be part of your round table, and I guarantee you these people right here, they will be glad to sit with you and negotiate and make sure that you look like a king. I don't want you to fall. I don't want my town to look like we are. No. This reputation we're getting, no. I'm working hard to make something better for my son in this community. All the people that I went to school are professional. And they would tell you the stuff that we had to go through to be where we at. Like I said before, no disrespect. You live in the good area. Look what happened in my area. Where I got my store that I'm closing down, somebody got kidnapped this week. Anybody want to talk about that? Over here, we had another accident, another breaking in while people were sleeping. So, there's bigger fish that we could be fried, but instead we're wasting time because we can't sit down and negotiate. Why? Because, unfortunately, everybody want to have their ego. This is not a place to have an ego. This is a place to negotiate and do what's right for the town. What it takes, sit down at a round table. If you want to have the biggest, you will not make it over here. You will have your 2-3 years running, and guess what? My legacy that I'm trying to build for myself is that I did good for my community. I don't know what's your legacy. Because you guys ain't going to take power or the money. So what is it that you guys doing this for? So please start communicating. If not, let me know. I can put a nice team to communicate. This is crazy how a special ed can communicate with a whole bunch of thugs in my town. We can't even get along. Like I said, I see everything. If you guys want, whenever you guys, we can ride around in my car, and I can show you everything. I'm not here to pick sides. That's not me. I'm here to make money and to make sure my town goes the right way. You guys need to get along, and please, you need to sit down. I'm a special ed. I do not email, I do not write letter, I do not text. I call you directly, or we speak directly. That's me. So just to let you guys know, I'm a special ed. I'm handicapped when it comes to writing. So let's sit down at this table, and I guarantee you, you guys, plus the people behind me, will be okay. We'll be okay, but we gotta sit down. If we gotta keep coming over here to argue, and no. First, you gotta have some tea. After the tea, I guarantee you, we can fix our town. So please, guys, this is the last time that we gotta, look, it's an embarrassment. And coming from me, to tell you this, it's not good, guys.
Chair, motion to close.
Aren't we supposed to do something, Mr. Merlino, with the,
We're
with the,
going to close the public comment first, Mayor.
before we, there's,
Yeah, so close public comment, and then I'll take.
Okay. I'd like a motion to close the public comment.
It was
Motion made.
firsted by Councilman Lamb and seconded
second
by
it.
Councilman Loebman. Are all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm just going to ask the council to go back and correct a mistake with respect to item JJ. I want to thank the resident for pointing this out. I went back and checked. The fire district budget, the adjustment does have to be advertised 5 days in advance, and it does require a public hearing, although a resolution is the proper mechanism. So I'm going to ask the council for a motion to rescind the vote on item JJ and to table it to a date no later than March 28th, which I believe is our March meeting, correct?
can we have a special meeting?
Well, that's
to
why I
make
said
sure
no
these guys
later.
get-
So it is either March 28th or a special meeting before that.
March 27th.
27th, sorry. So if we could have a motion,
I'll second.
Motion is made by Councilman Loebman and seconded by Councilman Lamb. Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
So March 27th, we're voting
the motion is no later than March 27th. So it could be on the 27th or the possibility of a special meeting in between.
Yes.
Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
This is going to be at a regular meeting. Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes. Okay, it's my understanding we have no need for an executive session, so I'd like to have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Are all in favor?
Aye. Good evening, folks. Thank you.